defensive tackle.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Ken Wilson Field, everybody. I'm John Lundeen along with Roy Christopherson. And we're getting set to bring you our very first high school football game of the 1997 CVAC season. And it's a classic, the rivalry. Tupper Lake and Saranac Lake. We had a chance earlier today to see the Saranac Lake JV program put their first win on the board as they shut out Tupper Lake by a score of 18-0. Roy, it's a contrast of teams this year for Tupper Lake. Tupper Lake comes in as the defending Class D titleist of Section 7. Saranac Lake competed in Class B. They didn't qualify for the state playoffs. Last year's Tupper Lake club was experienced. They returned very few starters, while Saranac Lake, there's a saying in high school football, reloading and rebuilding. For John Raymond, he reloaded this year.
Yeah, one of the things about Saranac Lake is they always seem to be able to come up with another go-to guy year in and year out. And while Ryan Rattel last year had over 1,200 yards rushing, the good news for Saranac Lake is they have some good people at some of those skilled positions this year, and people who basically were taught last year are ready to move in and take over the places of some of the people who graduated. So really, for John's team looks very good this year. They're really good in the skill positions, and they've got some really nice balance that I think is going to be very helpful to them.
One of the big positions that they had to fill, you just said, was Ryan Rattel at the tailback position, but they've done so nicely with Charlie Martin and John Raymond, the head coach for Saranac Lake, very high on Charlie Martin. He got himself a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger during the offseason, and expect some big things from him this year.
Well, you have a very nice complement in the backfield. You're going to have Brett Foster, who goes about 240. He's a big back, can really pound, get the tough yards for you inside. And you've got Charlie, who's going to be your speed back. And Charlie is going to be breaking some of those runs around the end. And wouldn't surprise me, as the season goes along, you may see them use him more in a receiver role as well.
And more importantly, up front, you return an offensive line that's experienced, big, and they'll be able to create the holes needed for Foster and Martin to run through.
Exactly. From tackle to tackle, you've got 4 seniors and you've got 1 junior. And I mean, as a coach, you can't ask for much more than that. You've got experience just about everywhere you look. As a matter of fact, as you look out, of the 3 captains out at midfield right now, 2 of them are linemen, offensive linemen, and Dustin Plumidor and Scott Granish.
And at the quarterback position, Jim Donis is back under center. He's a senior this year, but he was pushed in the preseason, and we had a chance to speak with the head coach, John Raymond, by Chris Lapierre, and he is very comfortable with either quarterback. Donis will start today, but if Donis gets in trouble, John Raymond, the coaching staff for Saranac Lake, very comfortable in putting in Chris Lapierre as a replacement.
What a difference a year makes, though, especially on the high school level. I think you're going to see Jim Donis, who did not have a bad year last year, but this year I think you're going to see a much more mature Jim Donis than you saw last year. That 1 year of experience, these players learn an awful lot. So I think this year, I think he's probably going to step it up even more than he did last year. And last year he didn't do too bad at all.
On the flip side, Tupper Lake returns just 4 starters and really nobody in the skill position that carried the Lumberjacks to the Class D title last year.
You can't lose as many players as Tupper Lake did and not feel the effects of it. Their top 6 rushers from last year have graduated. Their top 6 receivers graduated. I mean, to be that much decimated and not be able to carry something forward into the next season is really going to impact them.
Well, Saranac Lake won the coin toss, but they have decided to decline the opening kickoff. They'll hold off to the second half, and you followed John Raymond football through a number of years. That doesn't surprise you. He likes to put the defensive team out on the field and set the tone defensively first.
Yeah, I think he takes as much pride in his defense, clearly, as he does with his offense.
Okay, we are getting set to join the playing of the national anthem. Following that, we will take a look at our starting lineups for both Tupper Lake and Saranac Lake, offensively and defensively. Once again, Tupper Lake, the Class D defending titleist. A lot of expectations for the Saranac Lake Redskins this season.
Test. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars
Corey, while we have this chance, and again, Saranac Lake did win the coin toss, but has declined the kickoff until the second half. That's when they will receive. Let's take a look at the starting lineups, and we'll take a look at the starting lineup defensively for Saranac Lake, and then you'll run down who's going to start offensively for Tupper Lake. Defensively, the Redskins look like this. Chad Harvey, the defensive tackle, 6'1", 291, number 64, a junior. The other defensive tackle is Dustin Plumidor, 6'3", 287 on the front line. He's a senior. The defensive ends, Devlin Cotter, 6 foot tall, 221, a senior, and also Andrew Foster, and he's 6'4", 213 pounds. Linebackers, Josh Wedd, 6 foot, 175 pounds. Scott Granish, 5'11", 182, and Cochran is 6'1", 183, a senior. The corners, Tommy Finnegan, 6 foot tall, 154, a junior, and Charlie Martin, 5'10", 151. He put on between 10 and 15 pounds in the offseason. And the safeties include at 5'10", Jeremy Rich, number 13, 181, and the free safety is Mark Van Deen, 5'11", 162, a junior. Here is the opening kick, and we are underway. The 1997 CVAC high school football season on Adelphia Cable Channel 2. Special teams play comes up big for Saranac Lake. The ball carrier for Tupper was Peter Lemire, number 20.
And setting the offense for Tupper Lake, their center and one of the people they count on for the future, sophomore Dave Bedore, 5'10", 275 at the guard positions. Travis Kentile, a senior, 5'7", 175. Adam Button, 5'11", 230. The tackles, Bill Peets and Mike Russell. And the ends are John Collier and Corey Cody. Wingback is Jason Fuller, a junior. Quarterback, Justin Cody. The fullback will be
It's going to be Corey
Lanthier, I believe, and the halfback is Jason Ham.
Yeah, Lanthier starts in the place of Lemire, and for Tupper Lake, they begin their CVAC season from their own 36-yard line. Long count, high pitch, and they give it to Fuller. Fuller met in the backfield and pushed back.
John, a very unusual formation that Tupper Lake comes out with. They are very tight to the line of scrimmage. Everybody packed in. And they tried an inside reverse, which is something we saw from the JV earlier, but it really didn't go for much.
About a yard, 2nd down and 9. How do you wait offensively if you're a running back? How do you wait for a hole to develop if you're that close to the line of scrimmage? And again, they form very close, maybe 2 yards back of the line of scrimmage.
If that.
Try to run a play up the middle. Saranac Lake doesn't go for the misdirection, the fake misdirection. Gain of about 3 yards, 3rd down and 7.
I suspect, and I've never seen a formation quite like this, but I kind of suspect one of the reasons they may do that is to kind of counteract maybe the speed issue. They may not be as quick as they want to be, so this helps them get to the line of scrimmage quicker, being closer to the line of scrimmage to begin with.
But are they that strong? Can they handle the size of 6'2", 270, 6'3", 282 pounds?
Good question.
About a yard back in the backfield is Lanthier. They'll try to run it around the end once again with Fuller. Fuller is going to pick up a 1st down and carries the ball to midfield and inside Saranac Lake defensive territory.
And that was a nice delayed handoff to Fuller that time. Waited for everybody to be blocked, and then all of a sudden finally on the delay gave the handoff off. Everybody was tied up and found an opening right around that left side.
So at midfield, that is the first down. Tupper Lake, 1st down and 10 from exactly midfield on the 50-yard line. We are just underway. 10 minutes left in the opening quarter, no score. Wing back again, Fuller. You see him on the near side with Cody, the quarterback. Long count, they run it up the middle once more, and that is Corey Lanthier, number 32. Good 1st and 2nd effort, then pushed back into his own defensive end, but he did pick up a yard, maybe 2 on the carry.
I'm quite taken aback by what I'm seeing by this Tupper Lake offense. It's almost set up as a double wingback formation, which is something that you don't really see in football very often. And it looks like they're going to do all the running variations off of it. I suspect we're going to see a lot of inside reverses, and there'll be a lot of faking. It almost is like a variation off an option play, only run on the inside.
Double wingback before the wishbone formation. Texas A&M ran it for a long time at the college level, and you really don't see a lot of it anymore. That is Fuller. Fuller around the end on the left-hand side and finally knocked out of bounds at the Redskins' 41-yard line. Fuller's been very successful so far on the left-hand side. His first carry was only good for 1 yard, but his last carry carried him, that carry right there, 8 yards, and the carry before that was 7.
Yeah, it looks like the Redskin defense is kind of loose right now, playing pretty standard, but I think what they need to do is maybe spread the defense a little bit and get the linebackers outside of the wingback. So that, because what's happening is that the wingback is sealing that area off, and on the inside reverse, it's coming out around them.
Saranac Lake looks a little bit surprised that the Tupper Lake line is firing off so well at the line of scrimmage. Up the middle once again with Lanthier, and Lanthier is going to pick up a first down.
The Lumberjacks up the middle.
So on the Redskins 37, they're going to move it to the 38-yard line. First down and 10, Tupper Lake.
And they're really working over both Dustin Plumidor and Chad Harvey. Now, Chad Harvey goes 291. Dustin Plumidor goes 281. There's 560 pounds in there. And right now, they're having their way with both of them.
So Tupper Lake, simply put, right now running the football down Saranac Lake's throat. This drive started at their own 36-yard line. Wing back again, Fuller on the near side. That's Lemire. They're going to run it outside once again on the left-hand side. They've been successful, and they're successful once again, Roy. They'll pick up 3 yards on that carry.
Yeah, and you know, the game plan is real easy. You know, if you got a play that works, keep running it until it doesn't work. You know, right now the ball is in Saranac Lake's court to make the adjustment, but right now they haven't been able to quite figure this out or find a way to stop it.
For Fuller, his last 3 carries, 7, 9, and now 3 yards all around the left end. Second down and 7 from the Redskins' 35-yard line. And this is a time-consuming drive.
Yes.
We're working on 4 minutes right now. Tupper Lake on their first offensive series. This drive is now 4 minutes old. 8 minutes left in the opening quarter. Now they fumble it. A missed exchange, and I believe that was Lanthier who couldn't handle the pitch from the quarterback, Cody. And Cody is down on the football. He recovers it for the Tupper Lake Lumberjacks.
And they've been running around their left end to get most of their productive yardage. That time they tried it the other way around, and that met with trouble. Plus, Saranac Lake was in the defensive backfield, so even if he had gotten that handoff, he wasn't going anywhere. That was a negative yardage play. This should be interesting. This is 3rd and long now, 3rd about 9 yards. Now it's in 2-down territory, but still, with that far to go, do they air it out?
Well, Cody sets under center. Lost 4 on the play, 3rd down and 11 from the Redskins' 39-yard line. Now they move the backs a little bit deeper, and they give it to Ham. Ham, the fullback, tries the left-hand side. Ham successful, but there's a flag down on the play as he's knocked out of bounds at the Redskins' 32-yard line. Thought I saw a flag fly, but I guess not.
They may have been marking it.
So 4th down and a very long 5 for Tupper Lake from the Redskins' 32.
Well, if Tupper Lake remains true to form, I think we're either going to see a bust up the middle or something around the left end. Both of those plays have been successful for them, and you'd think that with the repetitive nature they've used on both of them right now, that we'll see one or the other.
Well, let's see where they line up Jason Fuller, number 33. He's lined up on the left-hand side. Cody, under center. And now they're going to run it up the middle. And that is Corey Lanthier. Corey Lanthier, Roy, is going to go absolutely nowhere. And the Redskins able to stop Tupper Lake in their own defensive end after Tupper Lake very successful. The drive started at their own 36-yard line. They were doing well, moving the ball on the left end. They ran it up the middle with Lanthier, and they lose the football on downs.
I'm kind of surprised at the play call. Again, they tried to go to the other side after working the left side successfully and the middle successfully. They come back to the right side. I think they might have thought that Saranac Lake might have been moving to that side. Maybe they thought they were going to catch him napping, but I don't know. The play call was kind of strange to me.
The element of surprise didn't work, and Saranac Lake, they start their 1997 CVA season from their own 32-yard line. A big hole.
Roberts on the carry.
And that is Roberts, number 28. And that is Ryan Roberts.
Gain of 6 on the play. 2nd and 4.
So gain of 6, 2nd down and 4. Coming in with the play, number 26 for the Redskins, that is Matt Dara. Coming out is Tommy Finnegan, number 14. The wide receivers, the flankers, the split end will all bring in the plays from the sideline for the Saranac Lake Redskins. Receivers on either end. Ryan Roberts is deep in the I formation, flag down on the play.
What do we say in the JV game? One dance step equals 5 yards. Corey Cody, from his tackle position inside, made that one step, and that was all it took.
And Tupper Lake can still afford to make any mistake. They may have to play a perfect ball game if they have any chance of beating Saranac Lake.
And right now, Johnny Raymond is substituting freely, moving people in and out of the lineup on a regular basis. Ryan Roberts back in with Brett Foster in the backfield now.
Matt Darrows, wide receiver, to the right-hand side. Foster, the fullback, takes the handoff to midfield.
Foster carries up the middle.
He picks up 5.
And last year, in limited time, he averaged over 5 yards a carry, so that's not a surprise. He's big, he's bulky, but he can get the job done. He's going to be a good inside runner for them this year.
2nd down and 5 for the Redskins from midfield. Finnegan brought the play in from the sideline to the huddle. Now lines up, wide receiver. He's the wide out on the right-hand side. Slip back formation. They're going to give it to Roberts once again. Roberts tries to find the corner on the left-hand side. He's into the Tupper Lake defensive end to the Lumberjacks' 45-yard line, and that's going to be enough for a first down, again 5 yards.
Yeah, nice job that time by Travis Gentile, one of the senior backers for Tupper Lake, but good extra effort that time by Roberts.
Well, we thought we were going to see Charlie Martin as the starting tailback, number 24, but so far the ball carrier has been Ryan Roberts, the tailback, with Foster, the lead blocker, at the fullback position. Wide receivers on both sides. Doug Cochran, that's on the near side. Handoff to the fullback, number 13, and that is Jeremy Rich.
Jeremy Rich carries up the middle.
Rich is stopped just outside the 41-yard line of Tupper Lake.
A nice hole opened up that time by Chad Harvey, and also by Andrew Foster on the left side to make that possible. Saranac Lake really just churning it out, and this is what Saranac Lake likes to do. There's no surprises here. This is ball control offense at its best, and Saranac Lake pretty well has crafted this. They'll pass occasionally. They've loosened up a lot more in that area, but they're still going to run the ball down your throat until you can stop it.
They're going to hand it off up the middle. That is the big fullback Foster, and Foster's close to the first down marker. He needed to get just beyond the 35-yard line inside the 34.
Short of the first down.
He's going to be short by 2 yards, 3rd down and 2. I talked with John Raymond the other day. He said that he is not going to put the football in the air on the opening drive, maybe the first 2. He wants to run the football. He wants to substitute freely, and he's followed that game plan so far.
Yeah, I think, it's in the opening game. You may have an opponent that may not be at the level that you are, and it gives them a chance to try a lot of things in anticipation of future contests.
Wishbone formation. Ryan Roberts first down into the secondary, and he stopped at the Tupper Lake 25-yard line. That was a huge hole with Walker at center and Granish, the offensive guard.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see a lot of things happening in that area. The right side with Granish, Plumidor, Walker at center. I think that's going to be their money side. When they need tough yards, I think that's where they're going to go this year.
They line up Matt Darrow, wide receiver, on the right side. On the near side is Cochran, split back formation. Roberts and Brett Foster in the backfield. Donis hands it off to his big fullback, number 46, Foster. Foster trying to fight for a yard or 2, and he may have picked up 1 yard. He did. It will be a 2nd down and 9 call coming up for the Redskins.
Didn't seem like a very fair contest. It was Foster against 4 Lumberjacks, and at times it looked like Foster was going to take him. He's a big boy, 240 pounds, but he knows how to carry the ball. He's going to be a good inside runner this year.
I think it's kind of interesting how the fullback positions change in the past. I mean, these were the guys, the lead blocker for the tailback, and maybe that started with Tom Landry and Tony Dorsett with the Dallas Cowboys. Now you see a change. They carry just as much as the tailback. You're not going for the big yardage, but it wears down the defensive line. Roberts takes the pitch around right-hand side. First down and more inside the 10-yard line. First down and 10 for the Redskins at the Lumberjacks 9-yard line.
And I like the way this Roberts runs. He's quick. He gets to the hole quick, and he gets to the outside quick. Saranac Lake has so many weapons. One of the keys, and this was the key in the JV game earlier, John, is the fact that Saranac Lake seems to have a speed advantage on Tupper Lake. And whenever they can put themselves in a situation that they can match up and use speed on speed, they're going to be successful.
So from the Lumberjack 9-yard line, first down and 10, Saranac Lake. Cochran, wide receiver on the near side. Split back formation. Foster and Roberts, and Tupper Lake wants to talk this over. and they're going to spend their first time out. So with 2:37 left to play in the opening quarter, no score, but Saranac Lake is threatening to jump on the board.
And this year we have a sponsor, John. Home Energy Services on Depot Street in Saranac Lake is sponsoring this Redskin broadcast on Adelphia Cable TV. And they're going to be available for all your oil burner servicing, all your oil burner needs. And it's getting to that time of year, even though we hate to admit it, when the heating needs are going to be all the more apparent, and they're ready to provide you with budgeting for your fuel delivery and regular fuel delivery at your location. Call Home Energy Services at 891-1616 for your home energy needs.
I can't believe that autumn is almost here. I was driving the other day, and the leaves were beginning to change.
Yep, it's
But
that's
summer
football
on the
weather.
calendar.
That's what football's all about.
But it is still summer on the calendar.
Leaves, if the leaves don't change, you can't have a football game. That's the first sign of it.
Nice crowd at
Yes.
Ken Wilson Field. Tupper Lake came in with a very good crowd, and they're very excited that they have a chance to open up this season rather than close out a football season against the Saranac Lake Redskins.
Exactly, exactly.
That's Roberts, deep in the I formation, breaks one tackle into the secondary, fumbles the football, scrambled into the end zone, still free.
Oh.
Has Tupper Lake recovered the football?
Craig Roberts of Tupper Lake fell on the ball.
Craig Roberts of Tupper Lake fell on the football. It is a touchback, and Tupper Lake recovers the football, and they will start off offensively from their own 20-yard line. After everything was going right for the Saranac Lake Redskins, they fumble the football, and you really can't blame the running back for Saranac Lake, Roberts. And I mean, he was trying to fight his way, get that extra yard, second and third effort, but he lost the handle, and Tupper Lake was able to recover inside their own end zone.
And actually, Saranac Lake, one of their people on the field, had a chance to fall on it in the end zone for a touchdown, and it squirted through his hands, and Roberts picked it up.
That was Scott Granish.
Was it Granish?
It was Granish who was in the Tupper Lake end zone, scrambling for possession, couldn't find the handle, and Tupper Lake, well, they bite the bullet. No score, 2:27 left to go in the opening quarter, and they'll start this drive from their own 20-yard line. They send a man in motion, that is Fuller. They again try to run it around the left-hand side. Not much there this time for Tupper Lake. Second down and 9. Maybe to the 19-yard line. About a half-yard gain, so second down and 10.
Yeah, I think the Saranac Lake defensive coach has made some adjustments between series, and I think they probably tightened that up just a little bit, that area.
Second down and 10. Tupper Lake from their own 20-yard line. 1:55 to play. Again, earlier today, if you joined us on Adelphia Cable, the JV game, Saranac Lake beat Tupper Lake by a score of 18-0. Highlights an 83-yard touchdown pass and a 33-yard run. Lichenwalter the run, and Harvey and Vossler connecting on the pass and catch for the Saranac Lake Redskins. They'll try to run it up the middle. Nothing there again. And I believe that was Jason Ham, fullback number 44 with the carry. And it was.
Yeah, and Jeremy Rich came up from a safety position and got in the backfield and really broke that up before it got started that time. So right now, Saranac Lake's secondary is being very active. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Tupper Lake will do what Saranac Lake did when all of a sudden they started cheating their safeties up. Saranac Lake went up top in JV game. We'll see if they start doing that, if Saranac Lake starts pinching in with their secondary.
Tupper Lake looking at a third down and 10. Wide receiver on the near side, that is Pickering. Again, the full house formation. Tupper Lake runs it up the middle. Nothing there, and they're going to be forced to kick. Ball carrier was number 20. That was Peter Lemire.
No gain on the play.
No gain on the play. Fourth down and 10, and the kicking unit comes on for Tupper Lake, the return unit on the field for the Saranac Lake Redskins.
Yeah, nice job. Tupper Lake seemed to come back with the same plays they used on the first series so successfully, and all of a sudden Saranac Lake shut them down. They had answers for all of them. And in this continual chess match that we have, it'll be interesting to see how these coaching staffs play off one another.
One thing you always have to say about the Saranac Lake coaching staff, that they can adjust to any given situation, and they don't need a lot of time to do that. There's the kick, end over end kick. Charlie Martin from the 46-yard line. What a great block and he's finally knocked out of bounds at the Tupper Lake 35-yard line. Number 61 for the Saranac Lake Redskins, Scott Cheney, threw a huge block, and that allowed Martin to get free.
First and 10 for the Redskins.
Yeah, that's the first time we had a chance to see Charlie Martin in this game. And he showed us some of that speed that he has.
Charlie Martin's heading over to the sidelines. For much of the season, he will be the featured back in the offense, but so far this afternoon we've seen Ryan Roberts, number 28, and Brett Foster. Ryan Roberts, the tailback, Foster, of course, the fullback, and they will line up that way again in the I formation. On the near side, Tommy Finnegan, number 14, the wide receiver. Back to throw. Donis, and he's looking. He's got a man wide open, and that is Tommy Finnegan. Touchdown!
Donis's pass.
38-yard touchdown pass. Finnegan on the receiving end from Donis.
A beautiful pass by Donis, caught him in stride, but more important than that, once again, Saranac Lake uses their running game to set up the pass, and there was nobody near Finnegan. Another 5 or 10 yards behind were two Tupper Lake defenders, and they just never paid any attention to him until it was too late.
And that came just as the clock expired in the first quarter. 6-0. And the Redskins will set up for the point after try. Jeremy Rich will kick. There's the snap. Ball is down. Kick is up. And it splits the uprights. So the Redskins lead by a score of 7-0 with a point after try from Rich.
And not much you can say about that. Actually, it's a perfect play on first down. Play action pass. You couldn't ask for anything more. And they're playing first down run all the way. And if you set your defense to go for only one style, you're going to get burned. Saranac Lake's going to surprise a lot of people. You know, it used to be in the old days, Saranac Lake used to be well known for run, run, run. Very similar to what we're seeing from Tupper Lake today. But the problem is when you're one-dimensional like that, if the running game isn't working, you know, you really can't expect the passing game to pick it up. With Saranac Lake, they have very, very good balance. They've got depth at quarterback. They have depth at the receiver position with Doug Cochran, Tom Finnegan, a nice addition this year. And they've got depth in the backfield. And really, these are people that, you know, had the year to mature. And this year is their year to shine.
And Donis will have all the time that he wants to throw that football with that experienced line with the seniors and the juniors from tackle to tackle.
You know, it's really scary when we were looking at the difference in these teams. You know, you look at the Tupper Lake defense has 2 seniors, 6 juniors, and 3 sophomores. And the sophomores, 2 of them are at tackle, right, and 1 of them is a cornerback. And then you have 8 seniors and 3 juniors for Saranac Lake. There is not a sophomore on the varsity roster this year. And that's a luxury that a lot of teams would have that Saranac Lake has this year. Let your sophomores mature at the JV level, and when they come up, they've got that year of game experience under their belt. Tupper Lake doesn't have that luxury this year.
And this may sound strange as well, but because Tupper Lake is so experienced that the other players, you know, your secondary players, they'll have a chance to mature at the varsity level. They'll have a chance to learn a little bit from the coaching staff as well as from the players and what needs to be done to be successful at the varsity level, and they're not going to be thrown into the fire. Big special teams play again from the Saranac Lake Redskins, and that was Fuller who took the kickoff after the score for
and that
Tupper
was
Lake.
Matt Dara and Ryan Roberts that put a hurting on him, and I mean they put a hurting on him.
You could hear that hit all the way up here, and we're a good 75 yards away.
Yep, that was a sandwich job.
So for Tupper Lake, they will begin their 3rd offensive series inside their own defensive end from their own 26-yard line. Cody, the quarterback, Hamlin, Lampier, and Fuller are the running back.
It almost looked like it took Saranac Lake a series on defense to kind of get into the game. They were giving up a lot of yardage early on. All of a sudden, it looks like they tightened the clamps down and really started to get into a rhythm now.
In the first offensive series from Tupper Lake, Saranac Lake, admittedly so, I think they were beat at the line of scrimmage. Tupper Lake really fired off the ball very well off the line of scrimmage. Fuller once again. Fuller met in the backfield. No gain. Number 13, Jeremy Rich, was the one who broke up the play for the Redskins, and he was the first one to make the tackle.
And one of the people that was a key to that particular play was a defensive lineman, Jason Heath. He got in the backfield, and he made him go wider than he wanted to. He wanted to cut it up earlier. Jason Heath got in the way, didn't make the tackle, but slowed him up so that somebody could come up and the support could come up and make the tackle there.
Loss of 2. 2nd down and 12 at the Tupper Lake 24-yard line. Tupper Lake taking a lot of time, Roy, in the huddle.
Yeah, they've slowed down considerably. From when they came out their first series, they were real fast, but they've since slowed down quite a bit. And they've also opened up the offense as well.
John Collier is the wide receiver on the left-hand side. They'll send Fuller into motion. Fuller takes the handoff around the end once again. He is going to pick up maybe a yard. He's met at the 25-yard line, and let's see where they mark it. They should mark it right at the 25.
Nice stop that time by Devlin Cotter from his defensive end position. Did a nice job that time. Didn't give him anything on the outside that he could work with, and did a nice job on the stop. Saranac Lake all of a sudden has really picked up the defensive intensity.
They're going to credit Fuller with no gain. So 3rd down and 12. 10:31 to play in the opening half. It's 7-0. Saranac Lake over Tupper Lake with the donuts to Finnegan, a 36-yard pass play. Corey Lanthier deep in the backfield for Tupper Lake. And Tupper Lake guilty of illegal procedure. That is Paul Pickering, the wide receiver on the near side. He jumped over the line.
And what's your first clue? That was a pass play. They have not run a pass play yet, but I think by Paul jumping off, I think he was a little anxious to get out there. But, you know, one of the things that's nice about the Saranac Lake offense versus the Tupper Lake offense, Tupper Lake's in a pass when you have to offense versus Saranac Lake, which is a pass when you want to offense.
Right.
And I think that's where a big difference is. You know, pass on 1st down on a play action versus passing on 3rd down when you need to get the 1st down is a lot different.
Let's see how the Redskins play this defensively, because Tupper Lake right now, after the loss of 5, is looking at a 3rd and 17 from their own 20-yard line. They do pinch the safeties up, Roy. Look at number 13, Jeremy Rich. He's right up on the line of scrimmage. Handed off to Fuller. The reverse inside. No gain and another loss. A loss of 1 yard. 4th down and 18, and here comes the return team for the Redskins, and here comes the kicking team for Tupper Lake.
I think that they were ready to pass on 3rd down until that penalty, and I think when that penalty came up, I don't think they felt comfortable, based on their field position, to actually pass. I think at that point they felt they'd run something conservative, take care of the ball. They're only down 7-0, and kick the ball back and hope their defense will pick it up so that they're not any farther behind when Saranac Lake gets the ball.
Roberts and Martin back deep for Saranac Lake, and they're setting up as though they're looking for great field position. Line drive kick, bounces at the 46, and it's going to take a Tupper Lake roll all the way down inside the Saranac Lake 30-yard line, and finally touched up at the Redskins 27-yard line.
They just got a 20-yard break.
At least. That was Brian Tynan, number 23, who downed the ball for Tupper Lake. You saw Roberts and you saw Charlie Martin. They were setting up at their own 45-yard line, so they were looking for field position on this offensive series well inside Tupper Lake's defensive end. Now they're forced back inside their own 27.
It should be interesting to see. Saranac Lake has looked very, very good offensively, and they've used an awful lot of weapons here today with their game plan.
Finnegan and Cochran, the wide receivers. That's Brett Foster up the middle. You know what I like about Brett Foster? He carries the football with 2 hands.
Yep. And he got 5 yards.
He got 5 yards.
It's like, give me the ball, I'll give you 5 yards.
5 yards.
No more, no less. But, you know, 5 yards on 1st down, you know, if you're a running attack, ball control style, that's what you want. Because that gives you so many more options on 2nd down and 3rd down.
So you don't have to be that ball control, time-consuming type of team on the 2nd down. You got 5 yards, you got your 3rd down to work with. You can throw it, you can run it, whatever you feel comfortable with. There's a flag down on the play.
Brian Tynan, one dance step equals 5 yards. That's going to become the most popular penalty probably of the opening week of the CVAC season. Everybody's still trying to get their rhythm down.
Well, it was a long 5 on the Brett Foster carry, so
brings up a
second down, a very, very short 1. From the Redskins 30, just inside the 37-yard line, to the tailback. Follows his tackle on the right side. Maybe enough for a 1st down. It is. That's Roberts. He gains 2 on the carry. He needed a very short 1. So, from the Redskins 39-yard line, 1st down and 10.
Yeah, nice job that time by the defense of Tupper Lake. The only thing was that he didn't need a lot to get the 1st down, and so they held it to a couple of yards. But Roberts has been running with reckless abandon here in the 1st half, so holding him to a 2-yard gain is a good play for Tupper.
Johnny Raymond showing how deep his team really is. Charlie Martin has not carried the ball once from the line of scrimmage.
This is going to be a good learning experience for Tupper Lake today.
That's Roberts once again. He finds a hole on the right-hand side and pick up 2 more. 2nd down and 8. The whole Roy, though, did close up pretty quickly.
Yeah, Adam Button was on the stop that time. They really did do a good job, and they were in there trying to strip the ball, too, so they're looking for the big play, looking for the turnover. There's a lot of enthusiasm on this Tupper Lake team. If anything, you know, the only thing that I see that could be a problem for them is the mistakes of youth. They're in a situation on defense where they have 2 sophomores at their tackle positions. Saranac Lake being as deep as they are, that's an advantage for them, and they should be able to use it to their advantage today.
Here's a backfield that we're going to see a whole lot of this season. Foster, the fullback, Charlie Martin, the tailback, Cochran in motion, and Charlie Martin, he has his first carry of the CVAC season this year and carries it to his own 48-yard line.
Tackled by Lantier.
Charlie Martin picks up 6 on his first carry, 3rd down and a short 2.
Yeah, I think you know, they're going to try to get everybody into the game today, and they're doing a good job utilizing the personnel, because you want everybody to feel like they're part of the team, and a lot of people, I think, like to go with their first string until a certain time, bring their people in, but I think shuffling them in and out is only going to help this team, especially if there's injuries down the road this year. Wishbone
formation for Saranac Lake. Cochran and Martin are the deep backs. That's Charlie Martin. Charlie Martin is well held by Adam Button. Adam Button wasn't going to let go for anything, and it's a gain of just 1 yard, 4th down and 1.
Yeah, and Charlie made a mistake that time. Charlie went away from his blockers. He should have stayed inside because his blockers were all up front. Instead, he tried to cut off of them and cut in right into a bunch of Tupper Lake lumberjacks. So really, if he stayed with his blockers, he'd have had a better chance to get the 1st down.
4th down and 1 from the Redskins' 48-yard line. 5:50 to play in the opening half. 7-0 our score. Saranac Lake leading Tupper Lake. High school football on Adelphia Cable Channel 2. I'm John Lundeen along with Roy Christopherson. Fullback Brett Foster. This time, not too much, about 2 yards and a cloud of dust. And it should be enough for a 1st down. If he reaches the 50-yard line, it will be enough for a 1st down.
Looks like they're marking it short, though.
I think they're going to have to bring out the chains.
This is going to be very close.
They are going to bring out the chains. This is going to be very close. If he misses the 1st down, it's going to be by inches. If he made it, it's just going to be about the nose of the football.
Yeah, I would say.
Stretch the chains, and by almost the full length of the football, it's a 1st down, 1st and 10 for the Redskins at midfield.
Obviously, we're no good at measuring.
Nope.
We need to have
new
a
prescription.
Vehicle moved immediately. It is blocking the gate for the rescue vehicle. A black bravado.
Cochran, wide receiver on the near side. Charlie Martin still in the ball game. Back to throw Donis. Donis wants to swing. It finds Charlie Martin at the 45. Back to the 50, to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, 25, 20. And he's tackled. There's a flag down on the play. At the 20-yard line, the tackle was made by Paul Pickering for the Lumberjacks. See who it is.
Not sure if it was a clip or a hole, but it's against Saranac Lake coming back. But it was a nice screen pass.
Tackled by Pickering, driven out of bounds.
And it is a clip against Saranac Lake.
Yeah, a real tough one to take right there. But I think that, you know, it was a nice play, well designed.
Now this clip is 15 yards from the point of the infraction,
right.
So it's not a completely a negative play against Saranac Lake. They do gain 5. However, instead of the ball resting comfortably on the 20-yard line, it's now on the 45. So they lose 25 yards on that play.
Yeah, and actually, if it wasn't for the clip, Paul Pickering was the only person back there that could make that stop. He was the last line of defense for Tupper Lake, one of their safeties, and he made the tackle, but all for naught as that one came back on the penalty.
Still 1st down and 5. Wide receivers on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I formation. Charlie Martin takes the pitch around the end. He follows a beautiful block from number 13, Jeremy Rich, and finally stopped at the Tupper Lake 38-yard line. And that's the 1st down.
One of those sophomores for Tupper Lake's growing up fast, Brendan Hayes, made a key play here. Fought off the block by Rich, made the shoe top tackle for the stop. That was a beautiful, beautiful play.
And he was smart. He had the block, and he realized that Rich was going to stay with him. So you stay there, fight the block, then when the play comes to you, shed the block, make the tackle.
Yeah, he actually was moving the blocker right into the point of attack, which was good thinking on his part.
Jeremy Rich now in the backfield, number 13, split back formation with Roberts. Donis, he hands it off to Roberts, to the 35, to the 30, flag down on the play, and there may be a holding penalty against the Saranac Lake.
Tackled by the door and hand. Flag on the play.
Looks like they're pointing at Ian Zaran.
Number 44.
Yeah, it's maybe a hold, I think, or a push.
Hands in the back against
Holding.
Ian Zaran, holding.
Yeah. Call is illegal use of the hands against the Redskins.
Ian Zaran came up this season from a very successful junior varsity, and now he's filling the tight end position.
Timeout, Tupper Lake.
A two-letter boy. He's got both football and basketball on his itinerary.
Power forward for the Redskins in the basketball season.
Right. Saranac Lake Redskins leading this game 7-0 here at Ken Wilson Field, the start of the CVAC football season. And coming up the half, we're going to talk a little bit about Tupper Lake then and now, talk a little bit about Saranac Lake in the same capacity. We'll also talk a little bit about what happened in the Northern Athletic Conference and Champlain Valley Athletic Conference in football last night. Tell you some games going on today. Set the college schedule for area teams. We've got a lot to talk about come halftime, both John and I, and we'll have that for you coming up in another 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
There was a bit of a surprise, and maybe teased a little bit with Mariah and Peru. Mariah and their standard offense, the power I formation. We'll talk about how they surprised Peru and almost pulled off an upset last night.
And I was talking with one of the fans here who was mentioning that apparently in that game there was a very controversial call that could have resulted in Mariah actually winning that game. So we'll talk a little bit about that at halftime. That's what's coming up in just a few right here. The Delphia Cable, and don't forget, Home Energy Services is our sponsor today, and we're looking for sponsors for 3 more broadcasts. And if you're interested, please get a hold of Mark Farmer. They're using this to purchase equipment for the Saranac Lake High School Video Club, who helps us with the broadcasts here. And so if you'd like to be a sponsor, get a hold of Mark Farmer, and we'll hook you up for this season.
Well, following the timeout and following the Ian Serrano illegal use of the hands, a penalty, first down and a mile. First down, it looks to be 24, maybe 25-yard line. 25 to go, and on the scoreboard, first down and 24 from the Redskins' 46-yard line. This is a drive that I'm sure Coach Raymond will be talking about in the halftime locker room. Potentially, the Redskins could be down at the Tupper Lake 20-yard line, but 2 penalties later, the drive that was moving forward has been moving back, and right now the Redskins first down and 24 from their own 46. That's Jeremy Rich. Jeremy Rich looking for some room up the middle, and it wasn't there. And tackle was made by Jason Ham.
Redskins tackled by the lumberjack Ham.
I think that what Saranac Lake needs to do right now is run some kind of a misdirection play or go up top. I was kind of surprised they just ran a standard running play, and Tupper Lake was looking for it. But I think now they got to start opening it up and looking for something else. I think they'd like to get it in the end zone now and get some kind of a cushion here.
Wide receivers are stacked to the right-hand side. Donis back to pass, rolling near side, still holding, looking long. He's got a man wide open, number 14, and that is Tommy Finnegan. Tommy Finnegan with the catch and out of bounds at the 15-yard line.
And he did it just like the pros, dragged the feet. And that's what he had to do, get both feet in. The official was right on the call. What surprised me is Tommy was able to get behind the defender, and all he did was run a standard deep out is what it was, a deep out pattern. And again, Donis, a nice pass, hit him right on the money, and good presence of mind by Finnegan to keep them feet in bounds.
26-yard catch for Finnegan. That is his second catch. His first catch was a touchdown measuring 36 yards. That's Roberts right up the middle. Roberts breaks one tackle, and then he is stacked up as the linebackers stepped up for Tupper Lake to finish him off.
Yeah,
Hayes,
nice
the
job
tackler for the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, and Paul Pickering was in on that from a safety spot as well. Right now, Saranac Lake is throwing so much at Tupper Lake. Tupper Lake, I'm not sure, knows what's coming next. But needless to say, Saranac Lake's doing a very good job executing their offense and look like they're already in mid-season form.
Roberts picks up 3, 2nd down and 7 from the Lumberjack 12-yard line. That's Matt Dara, wide receiver on the near side. Cochran in motion now to the far side. Roberts follows his guard and his tackle on the left-hand side. And not too much there. At that time, Tupper Lake able to hold the blocks well, and then finishing the play, number 33, and that's Jason Fuller.
Yeah, backers did a nice job getting out in the flat that time, and every time they'd run into a Saranac Lake blocker, there'd be another Lumberjack getting out into the flat, and they defensed that very, very well.
Gain of 2, so 3rd down and 10, or 3rd down and 5, rather, from the Tupper Lake 10-yard line, and Saranac Lake wants to talk it over, and they'll spend their first timeout. Tupper Lake still has 1 more in their pocket. Saranac Lake 2 more timeouts before the end of the half, should they want to use them. 2:29 to play in the opening half, and the score is 7-0. The only scoring in the first quarter, right at the end of the first quarter, 11:59. Donis to Finnegan, 36 yards, and then Jeremy Rich with a point after try, and that's where the score stands right now, 7-0.
Yeah, I think that there's a real smart timeout here by Coach Raymond's staff, because they really do want to punch this in, get some cushion here, because really, you're a big play away right now from having this game tied up or even being behind by a point. Get the 2-touchdown lead, go into the locker room. You've got some comfort there coming out for the second half of play.
And this drive has really turned around for Saranac Lake. He had consecutive penalties. One the clip, the other one the illegal use of the hands, but it was all wiped out with that 25, 26-yard reception throw to Finnegan from Adonis, and then Saranac Lake able to regather their offensive momentum, and now the ball is inside the 10-yard line, 3rd down and 5 to go for a 1st down and goal to go for the Redskins.
Saranac Lake's done a good job of not being predictable. The big play for the touchdown with Finnegan was on a 1st down play pass. The big play to Finnegan out here, the second time around, was on 2nd down. They're not being predictable with their offense, and I think that's throwing Tupper Lake's defense off a little bit.
Inside the 10, inside the 9-yard line, 3rd down and 5. They find Roberts. Roberts into the secondary, and he extends himself. Touchdown! A 9-yard touchdown run, Roberts. It is 13-0. Saranac Lake leading Tupper Lake.
Nothing fancy. Like I said, if you need a money play, you got to go behind Granish and Plumidor. And that's exactly what the Redskins did. Behind Granish and Plumidor, into the end zone, chalk up 6.
Saranac Lake bring their kicking unit onto the field. They do. Jeremy Rich will attempt the extra point. Chris Lapierre will hold the backup quarterback. And again, he has pushed Adonis very hard in the preseason for that starting quarterback position. There's the snap, ball down, kick is up. And it's good. Able to hug the upright. So Rich Lapierre, a point after try. Touchdown run, touchdown pass. And 14-0, the Saranac Lake leading Tupper Lake. High school football on Adelphia Cable Channel 2. John Lundeen along with Roy Christopherson, 2:24 to go before halftime.
We were talking about the fact that Lapierre did push Donis a lot in the preseason, but I'll tell you, that 1 year, what a difference it makes. You can see in the passes that Donis is making this year as compared to last year, a lot smoother. He seems a lot more relaxed, a lot more comfortable, and the passes are right on the money. I mean, he's made some pro-type passes here in the attempts that he's made. The other thing that's good is Saranac Lake being effective running the ball makes their ability to pass the ball that much better.
When I was talking earlier with the coaching staff, they know Donis' arm strength, and he can throw the ball. They're confident he can throw it down the field. What they wanted to work on this season were the feet and getting the mechanics, and taking really just less stress, making less stress on his arm, and he's been very successful so far. That is Fuller. Fuller to the 35-yard line, and then he tried to turn the corner, pushed it back, and finally stopped at the 30-yard line. So 1st and 10, Tupper Lake from their own 30 with 2:18 to play before the end of the half.
Matt Burns, Brandon Macy on the stops there, a pair of juniors who are going to be a big part of this team this year and next year. That's one of the good things about Saranac Lake. You can see this year what kind of team they're going to have next year, and they're going to have a quality team next year. you know, no matter what they lose in the skill positions, they've got a lot of seniors, but they're going to have people filling in. And the experience that all of the people are getting today is going to be valuable for next year.
From the Tupper Lake 33-yard line, first down and 10, Lumberjacks. Lemire, running back. They find Fuller once again. Pitch it to Fuller. Fuller is stopped at the 35. Gain of 2, second down and 8.
And that time, Tupper Lake went back to what they started with in the first series. They went back to that very tight formation, double wing back, and again, a lot of inside reverses, inside handoffs coming across the line of scrimmage.
Second down and 8 from the Tupper Lake 35-yard line. Adam Button has hurt himself, number 64. He's limping to the line of scrimmage. Lemire, tailback in the formation. Cody taking his time at the line of scrimmage. Takes the pitch, and they come back to Fuller. Fuller picks up a yard, then forced out of bounds into the Tupper Lake bench, or the Saranac Lake bench, rather.
Good job that time by Saranac Lake. Jeremy Rich on the play. He stayed at home. They tried a misdirection play, and that time it didn't work. Saranac Lake maintained their positions and were able to effectively stop it.
Third down and a long 6. However, since Fuller was pushed out of bounds on the near sideline, the clock does stop with 1:24.
It wouldn't surprise me if they don't convert this third down opportunity. It wouldn't surprise me if Saranac Lake calls timeout and goes after it again.
Paul Pickering, the wide receiver on the near side. Cody again taking his time at the line of scrimmage. Back to pass, looking over the middle. He's got a man wide open, and that was Fuller. He had him open on the near side, but Fuller was looking over his shoulder to the far side of the field. If he had been looking left side, that would have been a completed pass at the Redskins 40-yard line.
Yeah, he was not ready for that pass to be thrown at that point, and I noticed that it was unloaded pretty quickly.
So with a pair of timeouts in the pocket of the Saranac Lake Redskins, they've got 1:19 seconds. They send the return unit onto the field. Tupper Lake sends the kicking unit onto the field. And a return for the Redskins, Roberts and number 24, Martin.
You know, I don't know if it would have been if it was a wise idea to try that pass, because with the incompletion, stops the clock and really helps Saranac Lake.
Absolutely. That's Bill Pete to handle the punt. There's a snap, low line drive kick. Roberts and Martin will let it fall between them. And Tupper Lake will down the football deep inside Saranac Lake defensive territory at the Redskins 24.
And you got to communicate, and that time Roberts and Martin did not. You know, it's kind of like playing tennis, doubles in tennis, and the ball goes between you, and neither one waves a racket at it. Same thing.
1:08 to go in the first half.
So at the Redskins 24-yard line, 1 minute, 8 seconds left in the first half. Still 14-0 Saranac Lake over Tupper Lake.
Be interesting to see what Saranac Lake does. They've got some good arms. I think you'll see a much looser defense right now as they guard more against the pass. But I'll tell you, if Donis throws it, people have a capability of getting it.
Donis wants to throw it. Rolling near side, still looking for somebody to get open, and he was looking for Cochran, number 86, but missed him at the 41-yard line.
Yeah, Cochran came all the way across the field on a crossing pattern, but there was a lot of backers and a lot of defensive secondary in that area, so it would have been a tough pass to complete.
Would have had been a perfect pass right on the numbers. 1:02 now left in the first half. Coming off the field, number 14, Tommy Finnegan. Bringing in the play for Saranac Lake, number 27, that's Brandon Macy. He's now lined up as a wide receiver on the far side. 5 steps back, they're going to swing it out. And that is Roberts. Roberts to the 20, Roberts to the 25-yard line, back to the original line of scrimmage. And what a licking he took from Adam Button, number 64.
But the man that made that play was Corey Lampthier, the linebacker on that side. Corey was out there isolated one-on-one, grabbed them legs and wouldn't let go. Great play by him.
Gain of just 1 yard, third down and a long 9 for Saranac Lake from their own 25. That was a very slow developing play.
Yeah, it was. It really took too much time and allowed the support for Tupper to fill.
Wishbone formation. Foster is the up back. Cochran and Roberts hand off to Foster. Up the middle. Still turning those feet. There's a fumble. Tupper Lake says they have the football. A fumble at the Redskins 30-yard line. Looking for the signal from the referee as they unpile the players, and it is a Tupper Lake football. The second costly turnover against Saranac Lake. The first one was inside the Tupper Lake end zone, and now Tupper Lake will pick up the football on the Redskins 30-yard line. They've got one more timeout to work with and only 11 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, this is one of those, I don't think you're going to run if you're going to take a shot at the end zone. It's got to be to the end zone. You might be able to do a 15, 20-yard hitch with a quick timeout, go again, but I think you really need to put it in the end zone.
But if you're Saranac Lake defensively, you put in that nickel package, that extra defensive back. Cody under center. Long count. Lanthier is the tailback. They're going to try to run it. And they pitch it. Number 44, Ham. Ham is met as soon as he crosses the line of scrimmage and stopped after a 3, maybe 4-yard game. And they stopped the clock with 5 seconds.
To me, that makes no sense. I mean, I looked at the formation. It's a running formation. I mean, you really have to put this ball up. I mean, I know that Saranac Lake's playing pass, but Saranac Lake is not to the point where their defense is so loose that they're not looking for the run. How many times have they passed? Once?
Once.
I mean, let's face it. Saranac Lake's going to still be looking for the run, but they're going to guard against the pass. And it just didn't make any sense.
And now, in essence, you waste your final timeout after a 5-yard running play. And what was really interesting was watching Jeremy Rich, the free safety, number 13. He was a good 12, 15 yards back looking for the pass play. As soon as he saw Tupper Lake run up and line up in that formation, he was right up on the line of scrimmage. No respect for the pass.
Well, yeah. From that double wingback formation, the way it's set up, with the wingbacks turned in toward the quarterback, you're not running for a pass.
No.
That is a running formation. I mean, there's really nothing you can do out of that formation that would give you an inkling of passing, except maybe a screen. But even then, you're not really set up for it. Just a real strange play call.
5 seconds left. Tupper Lake uses their last timeout. Now you've got to put the ball in the air. Now you've got to put the ball, well, more importantly, in the end zone. For Tupper Lake, they've got to go in with some type of points on the board, trailing 14-0. That's Paul Pickering, the wide receiver to the left-hand side. Ham, fullback. There's Ham. They're going to try the option. He's looking long into the end zone, and it is knocked down by number 14 of Saranac Lake, Tommy Finnegan. And after the first half of play, we have a score of 14-0. Saranac Lake leading the Tupper Lake Lumberjacks. Scoring went like this: 11:59 of the first quarter. Donis found Finnegan for a 36-yard pass and catch. 6-0. And Jeremy Richards, the point after try. 7-0 our score. At the 2:24 mark of the second quarter, a short run by Roberts, measuring 9 yards, a touchdown run, 13-0. Rich, the point after try, and at the end of the half, it is 14-0. Saranac Lake leading Tupper Lake. Our high school coverage being brought to you on Adelphia Cable Channel 2 by Home Energy Services on Depot Street in Saranac Lake.
Call 891-1616 for fuel delivery and for oil burner service. Well, we promised that when we got to halftime, one of the things we were going to do is talk a little bit about Tupper Lake and Saranac Lake then and now. Last year, Saranac Lake, a record of 6 wins and 3 losses on the season. And, you know, there's teams that probably would consider that a successful season, but in Saranac Lake, that's not the case. And especially when you've gone to the state final the year before, that comes on the heels of, I guess you'd call it a great disappointment. And especially with somebody like a Ryan Rattel.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, Ryan Rattel had amassed 1,278 yards, which, as long as I've been familiar with Saranac Lake football, I can't recall a running back who had that many yards in a season for Saranac Lake.
Well, in fact, for nobody inside Section 7 in the CVAC, and he eclipsed the single-season rushing mark in the final game of the season against the Tupper Lake Lumberjacks.
Yep. And had a great day that day, as I recall. I think rushed for over 200 yards, if I recall correctly.
And he had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
3 of them by the end of the first half.
But, you know, there's something about having a player like that that sometimes can cause a team problems. And that's not to say that Ryan Rattel was not a great player, because Ryan Rattel was a great player, a very special person, the type of player that doesn't come along every day. But sometimes when you have a player like that, you spend your time waiting for that player to do everything, and you stand around watching him. And so perhaps one of the things that Saranac Lake needed to do is get back on track as a team focus. And what we've seen here in the first half today has been a truly team effort. I mean, they've been utilizing a lot of personnel in the first half. They've utilized, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 running backs. They've utilized 4 or 5 receivers, and they've been moving people in and out all the time. Everybody feels a part of this team right now. And that's what you want from your players. You want everybody into the game, and right now everybody is into this game.
And that's exactly what Raymond had told me earlier, that he was going to substitute at will. He was going to make sure that everybody was involved offensively. We thought we were going to see the starting backfield feature Brett Foster and Charlie Martin. Charlie Martin has carried the ball just 2 times so far this afternoon, and Roberts has handled the bulk of the ball carrying. And Foster has as well, the 3 or 5 yards in a cloud of dust. And the Redskins have been very successful on their second down plays because of Foster. A 2nd down and 5, and you said it early and often in the first half, creates a whole different option for play calling for John Raymond and his coaching staff.
Well, you know, you have the big back that can bruise inside. You've got the speed back that can cut it outside. You know, you have people that, you know, like Tom Finnegan, Doug Cochran, you know, who can get down the field, who've got good speed. You know, you have so many different weapons at your disposal that you don't have to rely on one person. You don't have to feature one person. And what's even worse from a defensive perspective is you don't know who to look for, because you have to look for all of them.
And what's even worse is we've seen members of the Plattsburgh High School coaching staff here today. Now, who do you concentrate on?
That's right.
You know, you don't want to look ahead, you know, beyond the second half of this one, but if you're Plattsburgh, like, right, you know, the broadcasters of Adelphia Cable, you come in with a depth chart, your scouting depth chart, and you're expecting to see Charlie Martin, you're expecting to see Brett Foster, and now John Raymond has thrown in this guy, Roberts, and I mean, now who do you scout next week when practice begins on Monday?
Well, the fact that you've thrown in Roberts isn't important. The fact that Roberts is doing so well is what's important. You know, I mean, Roberts has just had a fabulous day, running inside, running outside, you know, scored a touchdown. And, you know, it's very obvious to me that normally when you have a first string and you have a second string, as you know, there's some skill fall off.
Right.
Between 1 and 2. I don't see that.
Not in this one.
That's great for Saranac Lake, but I don't see that. And if I don't see that, I have to wonder what the Plattsburgh coaches see. Because, and like you say, football is a game where, you know, injuries are a part of the game, as you know. I mean, certainly you don't expect them, you don't wish them on anybody, but that's part of the game. And I think if Saranac Lake goes down at one of the skill positions, they're set up very well to not really lose much.
They really are. On the flip side, however, if Tupper Lake loses a player this season, a skilled player, due to injury, they are not set up nearly as well. Again, 4 returners or 4 starters returned from last year's Class D titleist team, and they dressed only 24 players for this game, and only 20 will see any type of action this afternoon.
I ran a laundry list down of people that are missing from the Tupper Lake team from last year to this year, and I mean, there's a lot of good players here. They're missing Larry Callahan, their quarterback from last year. James Ponton, the speedy running back that they had. Jesse Gagne, Nick Brunette, who filled in well not only receiving but running the ball. Another good receiver for them was Marshall Godin, Chris Tarbox, Jason Mann. All of these people, the top 6 people in their stat sheet for both rushing and receiving, there was absolutely nobody from this year's team in that list. And that just is amazing. You're going to lose from year to year, but they lost an awful lot last year. The good news, though, for Tupper Lake is they are going to have a good team next year. The skill and the maturity, we talked about the maturity for Jim Donis, but the maturity that they are going to have next year, just from this year, going through and living this year. And if you haven't heard, the Tupper Lake schedule for the first 3 games is not something that you would really want to have. Once they get done with Saranac Lake, they have Beekmantown, and then they have Peru. First 3 games, it's almost like the football gods are after them. But, you know, these are games that are going to help them. They're going to learn. They have 2 sophomores playing at their defensive tackle positions. They have a linebacker who's starting, who's a sophomore. And these players are going to get nothing but better and nothing but more mature. We've already seen some good plays being made by people like Brandon Hayes, who had a very good play here on an end run that Saranac Lake had. So I think, you know, that the outlook is good, but I think the expectation level is going to have to not be as high this year as it was last year for Tupper Lake.
And in week number 5, don't forget, they face the Class C title in Section 7 Seton Catholic. So for Coach Cavallero, he's got to keep his kids mentally sharp, physically sharp, of course, because of the lack of depth. But if Tupper Lake does get pushed around in the first 4 of the 5 weeks of this high school football season, he's got to make sure that these young kids who have experience in winning because of the strong JV program, he's got to make sure that they don't get down on themselves and down on the varsity program, because next year is another year. They'll have a year under their belt, and then they can begin to feel good about themselves.
That's correct. Now, Saranac Lake, on the other hand, yes, we mentioned they did lose Ryan Rattel. However, because of the way Saranac Lake transitions their players in, a lot of the players we're seeing today got action last year. So, for instance, Charlie Martin, and you know, working with Ryan Rattel, had 311 yards last year and was popping at the rate of 6.8 yards a carry. So he had that last year to transition himself into this year. Brett Foster, 170 yards in limited action last year. But, you know, that maturity from one year to the next, having had that experience, is all the difference in the world for a lot of these people. Jim Donis, same thing. You know, he had that year to grow. Jeremy Rich last year had 13 catches. Doug Cochran had 4. You know, and Donis was 32 out of 71 last year for 415 yards as the full-time starting quarterback. And this year you see a very mature Jim Donis out there handling things. We also alluded to the fact that I think football players sometimes uncharacteristically get branded as jocks. And you've heard it, and I've heard it, and it's something, it's kind of a cliche of the game, and you learn to accept it. There are 13 members of the Saranac Lake Redskin football team who are members of the National Honor Society. And you say, well, what does that mean other than the fact that they're good in their academics? What it does mean is not only do they play the game of football, but they understand the game of football. And when you understand the game of football, you can raise your level. When
you're in the video room and you don't see that blank face, I mean, that's certainly a luxury for Coach John Raymond. Well, this is just one of many games that have started the Section 7 season, the CVAC season around the North Country. And there are some very good matchups in week number 1.
Yes, yes. And there was a dandy in Mineville last night. The Peru Indians opened up, and they wound up finding something they didn't expect to see when they went to Mineville in Mariah.
That 4-letter word that never comes about in Mariah, called the pass.
The pass. And the pass was Scott Nephew, the quarterback, who completed 8 of 19 for 193 yards, which in high school terms is an awful lot of yardage through the air.
Mariah, the I formation and the cloud of dust.
Power I, and I looked because I said to myself, did they change coaches? I was as stunned as anybody, but Bill Mitchell's still running it. He was very pleased with what he saw last night. They have a receiver by the name of Brian Wright who caught 5 passes for 139 yards. But the real story of the night was Dwayne Godfrey of Peru, and you're going to hear that name. Remember that name, because when Saranac Lake plays Peru, you're going to hear it an awful lot. 21 carries, 256 yards. He had an 86-yard TD run in the first quarter, a 21-yard run in the third quarter. This boy can motor. Mariah, however, had their chance to win this game. This game did not end with Peru totally in control. Saranac Lake, or Mariah rather, drove to the Peru 17 before they had a 4th down pass picked off that ended the game. It was picked off at the 2. So Mariah will be an interesting team to see this year. It's not going to be the one-dimensional team that you're used to seeing. This is going to be a team that's going to be ready to pass as well as run the ball.
I think this is going to be a very interesting season, and we alluded to it during the JV game that the titleists coming out of Section 7 do not have the experience that they had last year. We just talked about Tupper Lake, the fact that only 4 starters are returning. Beekman Town, the Class B title team, they lost a lot. They were hurt extensively through graduation. The only team that maybe did not get hurt through graduation as much as the others were with Seton Catholic, the Class C titleists.
Yeah, they had a lot of young players last year, and I'm sure that, you know, some of those people have matured, and I'm sure they're going to be more of a force this year as well. The other games that are being played this afternoon in the CVAC, Seton Catholic at Beekman Town, and that should be an interesting game. In Beekman Town, Seton Catholic, we'll find out just how good the Seton Catholic team is this year. Plattsburgh High is at Clintonville to take on Osable Valley. Ticonderoga is in Saranac to meet Saranac Central. Northern Athletic Conference, there were 2 games last night. A good one in Ogdensburg, where the Blue Devils beat the Messina Red Raiders, who Saranac Lake scrimmaged here last week by the score of 20-16.
I believe the Saranac Lake defensive line held Messina to 52 total yards. I believe that was the defensive count on that one. Watertown and St. Lawrence also met last night. Yep,
and Watertown put a hurting on St. Lawrence, 57-8. Again, you're talking about different classes. I think that's A and C, if I remember correctly. There's 2 other games in the Northern Athletic Conference today. Malone is at Canton. Governor is at Potsdam. Area college football, St. Lawrence University is at Geneseo State today. Canton Tech is at Hudson Valley Community College. And Syracuse Orangemen, for those of you who follow them, disappointed last week when I was watching them on the Deuce. They're 1-1 right now. They're out in Norman, Oklahoma, taking on the Boomer Sooners.
And the Sooners a bit of a surprise to start the season. NC State, swing pass, left-hand side. I think all of Syracuse thought Paul Pasqualoni had that timeout called. He didn't. And that hurts when you see your opponent running across the field with the touchdown, the game-winning touchdown. I did not expect that. I thought the Wolfpack were going to get hammered at the Dome. Didn't happen. Did not happen.
Well, Syracuse has got a lot to prove now. They had that great opening win, and now they're going to have to reestablish themselves once again.
They fell from 13th in the AP college football poll out of it. So from 13th, I believe the latest poll had them ranked at number 28.
Well, what can you say? Other scores from yesterday. Saranac Lake's boys soccer team in a non-league game beat Willsboro 5-2. Nathan Supernant, 3 goals. Mark McGinnis, a goal and 2 assists. And Abe Bakars, 14 saves and goal for Saranac Lake. Lake Placid Blue Bomber boys team beat Osable Valley by the score 2-0 again in a non-league game. Derek Whittemore with both goals for Lake Placid, and Chris Blair, 9 saves for the shutout for Lake Placid. And cross country, yeah, how about that? Cross country. Saranac Lake split a triangular meet with Ticonderoga and Beekman Town. Ty beat them 23-33. Saranac Lake beat Beekman Town 22-35. Dan Fall in 4th place in that meet for Saranac Lake. And Saranac Lake also had runners finish 5th, 8th, and 9th. Girls, Saranac Lake won both in the triangular meet with Ticonderoga and Beekman Town. Saranac Lake 18, Ticonderoga 44. Saranac Lake 15, Beekman Town 50. Katie DeMong and Arian Baker crossed the finish line together.
Is that right? Hand in hand?
For Saranac Lake. Basically, they would have finished in a tie for first. Saranac Lake also took 6, 7, 8, and 9 positions in that race.
Cross-country program in the fall, the Redskins program in the fall 2 years ago. What a year.
Yep.
Both state championship berths, and they had a chance to celebrate that together. I wonder if we will see that again.
I don't know.
In the not so distant
I don't know. I understand the
program.
boys cross-country team lost a couple of their runners. Bill DeMond going to the National Sports Academy.
Right.
And I think one elected not to come out this year. So that's certainly hurt their chances, but I think they'll still have a very competitive year this year.
Well, we're at the half here, and the half just about to come to a close. And after the first half of play, first 24 minutes, all Saranac Lake, and they lead by a score of 14-0. Again, a Finnegan, a 36-yard touchdown catch, and Roberts, a 9-yard touchdown run. And this one began with Saranac Lake winning the coin toss, and they declined and decided to receive to start the second half. And going back deep for the Redskins, Roberts, as well as number 24, Charlie Martin.
One score we didn't mention from earlier this morning in JV play, Saranac Lake beat Tupper Lake by the score of 18-0. So if you missed the JV score from earlier, it was 18-0 Saranac.
Here we go to start the second half. We'll play a high end over end. Martin underneath it at his own 15-yard line to the 20, to the 25, to the 30, and stops at the 30, what do you call it, 31, 32-yard line, and another big tackle. He's been all over the field. That's Adam Button.
Yep. And he was the one that kicked off. The kicker winds up making the play. But
so they are going to mark it at the Redskins 32-yard line. First down and 10.
Redskins from their 32-yard line.
Donis in at quarterback at number 11 brings the play in from the sideline to the huddle.
And I think another score here by Saranac Lake, and I think we might see Chris Lapierre get some of that experience that he's going to be needing.
Wide receiver on the near side is Finnegan. Out of the wishbone formation, Foster is the up back. That's Jeremy Rich, takes the handoff, and he crosses the 35 to the 36, maybe as far as the 37-yard line.
Granish and Plumidor going right off Granish and Plumidor again and pick up good yardage.
Second and 4.
Second down and 4, gain of 6, and they'll mark the ball at the Redskin 37-yard line. I am really surprised, and John Raymond told me the same thing. He has never seen a Redskin team this deep, and they are deep. There is no player that the Tupper Lake defense has been able to key on defensively. Jeremy Rich with the carry once more and stopped at the 45-yard line.
Yeah, Rich made that run, stopped by Lemire, Tupper Lake. But you're right, they are. They're so deep and they're so talented. You know, you have so many options. It almost is sinful. Really
what do you do if you're the Plattsburgh coaching staff and you've been sent here to tape this game, and there they are down at the far end zone. Jeremy Rich once again met in the backfield. That is Craig Roberts, number 88, who busted up that play for Tupper Lake.
Yeah, some nice work done there by some of the Tupper Lake people. They really stacked the line very well.
Well, for the first time this afternoon, John Raymond will send his kicking team on to the field, and Tupper Lake will drop back to receive the punt. That was a beautiful play by Roberts. Roberts was able to split the offensive line, and he was right there to meet number 13, Jeremy Rich, in the backfield.
Now, if you're Tupper Lake, you're getting the ball back. You're down 14-0, but you've already stopped Saranac Lake on their first series. This is an opportunity for Tupper Lake to get back into this ball game. That's the way they have to be thinking now.
Matt Burns to kick for Saranac Lake. And I was watching my own clock, my own wristwatch, Roy. I'm thinking, well, this is taking an awfully long time for Saranac Lake to set up this kick.
Yeah, and you know, there's really no need for it. I mean, you'd have to wonder. Except I don't know that Saranac Lake had the punt in the first half. I don't believe they did.
They did.
Perhaps, that may be what's causing the problem. But really, on a punting play, there's really no excuse for running out of time.
A player was late getting onto the field, and it may have been Andrew Foster. So 5 yards later, there's the Burns. This is a high kick. It's a short kick. And Pickering from his own 35-yard line. And he'll be stopped right there. First down and 10. Tupper Lake from their own 35-yard line.
Nice play that time by Scott Granish. He didn't quite make the finish off the play, but he got down there and put a hit early on it and then slowed the returner.
From their 36-yard line.
First and 10. This will be Tupper Lake's first offensive series of the second half. They trail 14-0, and they control the ball with 9:52 left in the third quarter. High school football on Adelphia Cable Channel 2. I'm John Lundeen along with Roy Christopherson, and Roy will be providing color all season long. And we will follow the Redskins throughout their entire home schedule. In fact, we'll follow them as far as they go this year. Corey Lanthier in the backfield along with number 44, Jason Ham. They hand it, they give it to Ham. Ham to the 40-yard line. Nice second effort. He'll get 4, maybe as much as 5 yards. They'll credit him with 4, second down and 6.
What I've been seeing so far, John, from this Tupper Lake offense is very, very conservative play calling. They're not opting to do anything in the way of passing. Maybe an inside reverse here and there, but by and large, most of the plays that they're running are very, very straightforward right now. And I did notice that they've, again, changed formations in this series, gone away from the double wingback formation and gone into a more conventional set.
From their own 39-yard line. I'm having a lot of fun watching Jeremy Rich. He's got no respect for the pass, the free safety. He's crowding the line of scrimmage. He's almost right in that linebacker position right now for Saranac Lake. Fuller in motion. Quarterback Cody bumps into Fuller, and he was looking for number 88, Craig Roberts, who was coming across the field on the near side, but he was covered very well by Tommy Finnegan. Pass ball's incomplete. Third down and 6.
Well, they finally found a way to pass off of that running formation. I think that's what they were trying to do because, again, as you said, Jeremy Rich is soon as he sees that double wingback formation, which they went back into on the last play, he's coming right up, and he's challenging the line of scrimmage, as well he should.
But can you use that crossing pattern with the line of scrimmage bunched up the way that it is? Can Roberts get to his spot to receive the pass quickly enough?
And I think you draw defenders when you're that tight also.
Right. Once again, Ham, Lampier in the backfield. They'll try to run the ball up the middle with Fuller. Fuller bounces off one tackle, tries to turn the corner on the left-hand side, and he's going to lose a couple of yards. 3 and out for Tupper Lake, and they're forced to kick.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? I have to go to another sport to tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the old basketball weave. All I can see is one person going one way and the other person cutting the other way, and I'm sure the idea behind it is to try to provide some misdirection and probably try to fool the defense, but once you've seen it and gone through it once, I think you can adjust to it fairly easily.
I understand the offensive line, there's a flag down on the play on this kick, and takes the Tupper Lake roll inside the Saranac Lake 30-yard line. 2 flags down. We'll have to see where the penalty's going to go. I believe it's going to be a legal procedure against the Tupper Lake Lumberjacks. But I mean, how much time does a running back have to find a hole if you're only 3 yards away from the line of scrimmage?
Exactly. It just seems to me you're asking these players to read and react very quickly, more quickly than they're capable of in some cases. But a lot of inside reverses, inside handoffs, and it's just a strange formation. I could see the wingback, the double wingback, if you had your wingbacks facing the line of scrimmage, but they're not. They're facing the quarterback, and that's what makes the wingback formation so unusual. And when you see it, you have to read run.
Well, Bill Peach will kick once more. It was an illegal procedure call against Tupper Lake. 4th down and along 16. They'll mark the ball inside the Tupper Lake 29-yard line. Back deep Roberts, as well as number 24, Charlie Martin. Charlie Martin will move up to about midfield. A short snap. Peach can't handle it. Peach is scrambling. Peach will recover the ball inside his own 5-yard line. Why is that he did? Because Jason Heath of the Redskins was right there to pick up the fumble and to march it in. But it's going to be a 1st and goal to go for the Saranac Lake Redskins from, I believe, the 2nd to 2 or the 3-yard line of Tupper Lake.
That's the second time they had a problem with a snap on a punt. They had the same thing happen in the first half. Luckily, it didn't go too far, and they were able to block the penetration. This time, they weren't able to block Heath, and Heath was right on that, and they were lucky that it didn't wind up being a touchdown for Saranac Lake.
1st and goal to go. They mark the ball down at the Tupper Lake 3-yard line. Tupper Lake calls the timeout. With 8:03 to play in the 3rd quarter, still 14-0, Tupper Lake will take a timeout. You're watching high school football on Adelphia Cable Channel 2. I'm John Lundeen along with Roy Christopherson. And our game this afternoon being brought to you by Home Energy Service on Depot Street in Saranac Lake.
And with winter coming, you want to remember that you need fuel oil, fuel delivery, and you want dependable service, go to Home Energy Services on Depot Street in Saranac Lake. Home Energy Services, ready to repair your oil burner, ready to provide the fuel, and they do work on a budget plan if you'd like them to. 891-1616 for Home Energy Services.
Run you down the scoring, the 11:59 mark of the 1st quarter. Donis to Finnegan, 36 yards, a touchdown pass, 6-0. Jeremy Rich, the point after try, 7-0. In the 2nd quarter with 2:24 to play, Roberts from 9 yards out, 13-0. Rich followed up with a point after try. That's where we stand, 14-0, 8:03 to play in the 3rd quarter.
And Saranac Lake expects some kind of a running play here. They're very close to the goal line.
Redskins offense has been pretty much unpredictable this afternoon. You can predict Foster will take the handoff up the middle, and he scores from 3 yards out.
Foster carries the 3 yards for the 3rd Redskin touchdown.
And really, when you look at it, John, you have to say that so far the Tupper Lake team, as inexperienced as they are, had pretty much held their own as far as, you know, not creating critical mistakes. But this is one critical mistake, and the mark of a good team is cashing in on the mistakes of your opponents, and that's what Saranac Lake just did.
Well, you and I both said at the start, if Tupper Lake was to win this, they were going to have to play a flawless game, and that is a costly turnover. turning the ball over and downing it on your own 3-yard line, giving Saranac Lake a chance to score from 3 yards out. That's Trumer. That's a beautiful point after try. It's 41-0.
You see, we have depth even at the place kicking position.
Tuper was as excited with that point after try as he would have run a 99-yard touchdown.
The key here is you can't take that
pass.
point off the board. He's now in the stat book for 1997.
That's it. I got my point, Coach. Thank you very much. So 21-0, 7:59 to play in the third quarter.
And I think at this point, maybe the next series, now that Saranac Lake's up by 3 touchdowns, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Chris Lapierre come in. And I think that's really valuable for Chris, as well as for the Redskins, because I believe he's a junior, and he'll be looked upon next year to pick up the ball and run with it. And but it's such a nice progression. You can see the progression developing from JV to varsity. And it's obvious that Saranac Lake has a very solid football program from modifieds right on up to the varsity.
100 students participating at the modified level. With Edmund Varsity and Dixon. Here's the restart kick, takes a bounce, takes a Saranac Lake bounce, and Fuller picks it up at his own 12-yard line and down inside the 25 to the 23.
To his 23-yard line.
Well, he picked up 10, maybe 11 on the carry. First down and 10, Tupper Lake from their own 23-yard line. See a lot of different players defensively and offensively for the Redskins. And now a different look for Saranac Lake right off defensively.
Yeah, we're seeing a few different players in there. There's still some first string, but I think that a lot of players are seeing some playing time here today, and that's good, especially for the first game of the year. It's so important, you know. And John has always been very good, John Raymond and his coaching staff, about getting these players in. You know, the people that work. You know, all these kids work hard, and it's nice to see them get that opportunity.
Look at Fuller lined up as the wide receiver on the near side. Now they're going to send him in motion.
Running play left.
And they will pitch it outside to number 42. Actually, that's Hayes, number 43 with the carry.
Driven out of bounds by Greenwich.
And, you know, I think I can understand in a way where Coach Cavallaro is coming from. You've got a very young, very inexperienced team out here. You know, I think his offensive philosophy is let's keep it simple. Let's get the basic plays down before we start moving to expand our play package and, you know, build some confidence within the team. It's hard to do when you have, you know, when you're playing such talented opponents your first few weeks. But I think that, you know, you have to give the team a chance to build over the course of the season. And we may see some surprises out of this team as we get a little bit farther into the season as they start to gel.
Hayes picked up 1 yard, second down and 9 from their own 24-yard line. Cody back to pass, and he finds number 10. That is Paul Pickering. Pass is complete. And he's finally pushed out of bounds at his own 29-yard line, third down and 5.
Matt Burns did a nice job. He was isolated out there on Pickering, and Pickering a little taller than he was, but he wrapped him up and got him down.
Third down, long 5, third down, or a short 4. 6:30 remaining in the third quarter. No means is this game over for John Raymond. He's after somebody on his defensive unit, making sure he's set in the proper position. Cody under center. Corey Lampthier is the deep back in the formation. Jeremy Rich showing blitz. And they hand it off to Lampthier. Lampthier will pick up a first down and a few yards more. Lampthier finally stood up at his own 36-yard line, but not before he gained 7 yards on the carry.
I was watching Jeremy Rich on that play, the safety for Saranac Lake. He was right on the line of scrimmage with the defensive lineman as that ball was snapped. The only thing was he went to the wrong side, and the play was away from him. But right now, Saranac Lake, with their secondary, they're really forcing some of the things that are happening in Tupper Lake.
It's really interesting on that play for Jeremy Rich. The play before that, the completed pass, and still Rich had no respect for the pass and was playing run all the way. Deep back again is Lampthier. Also there, Jason Ham. They send Fuller into motion to the far side. That's Lampthier. No, actually it's number 44, Ham. Nice fake handoff to Lanthier. Jason Ham carries the ball for 3 yards, 2nd down and 7 from the Redskins 40-yard line, or from the Tupper Lake 40-yard line, rather.
Yeah, and again, they're trying to work that defensive right side of the Saranac Lake Redskins. They've had some success over there. Matter of fact, most of the success they've had today in limited, spotty times has been to that side, and they continue to work it. But they're not getting much at this point. A little bit here, a little bit there.
Approaching the closing moments of the 3rd quarter. 21-0. Cody takes his time in the huddle, doesn't he? And he takes about as much time as he needs at the line of scrimmage.
I think it's a sign of an inexperienced team, too, that they do take that much time.
Lanthier, as well as Hayes in the backfield for the Tupper Lake Lumberjacks from their own 40. Cody back to pass, looking left-hand side, incomplete, in and out of the arms of Pickering. He fired a full of that ball, Pickering.
And that's probably the sign of an inexperienced quarterback, too, really. The pass needed a little bit of touch and didn't have any touch on it. But again, when you look at this team now they're trying to pass, but passing is not their primary medium. Their primary medium is running. You know, now they're 3 touchdowns down. They're past the midway point in the 3rd quarter, and now they've got to look at putting points on the board. But even then, their passes are short passes. It looks like very conservative routes. Pickering was open, but I think at this point they're still in the process of trying to instill confidence in this offensive line, this offensive team, and getting them to work together as a team.
It's unfamiliar territory, the passing game. Cody, again, sets him down with Hayes and Lanthier in the backfield. That's Fuller in a motion. Back to throw, Cody. Deep drop. He gets the ball away. He got it away. Jeremy Ricks, the free safety. He was lined up right at the line of scrimmage, and Roy, he came in untouched. He had a free shot at the quarterback, Cody, and he was fortunate. He got that pass away.
Yeah, and there was 2 Saranac Lake defenders in the backfield that were just a step or 2 behind him at the time. All he saw was Saranac Lake. I think he could have thrown it to Saranac Lake better than he could to his own team at that point. But, you know, to his credit, he was able to at least attempt the pass and avoid the sack.
4th down and 7. 4:22 to play. On comes the kicking unit for Tupper Lake. On comes the return unit for the Redskins. A high snap over the head again of Bill Peets, and Bill Peets will down it inside his own 10-yard line.
And you know, John, you have to feel for the snapper for Tupper. I think it may be Button that was snapping. And I think Button may be the one that's having all the snapping problems right now, but you have to feel for him. But if Pete had turned around, Saranac Lake was blocked that time as they came in. He'd have had a chance to get the punt off. He never looked, he just covered it. And you can't fault him for that, but at the same time, he missed an opportunity there.
Yep, played it safe, down the ball on his own 10. Is it outside the 10-yard line, Roy?
I would say it's probably right on the 10-yard line, or maybe the 11.
Between the 10 and 11, so it is not a 1st down and goal to go. It's 1st down and 10 from just inside the 11-yard line. And there is the pitch. That is Roberts. Roberts is going to go in. Touchdown. Roberts from 11 yards out. Brendan Hayes had a shot, but he couldn't hold on.
Brendan was the only one out there, the last line of defense, and he missed them, and Roberts went right in. Nothing real fancy, very cut and dry, but you could see, and we talked earlier about conditioning, John. You know, first game of the year, maybe your conditioning's not yet at its peak. You have to think, you know, at this point, you know, with a lot of players on this Tupper Lake team going both ways, you have to think that they may be starting to wear down a little bit.
Tuper in for the point after try. Chris Lapeer to hold. Waits the snap. There's the snap, ball down, kick up, and the kick splits the uprights. There are 2 penalty markers down. This is going to be roughing the kicker.
I believe you're right. I think this is a roughing the kicker call right now. Because it looked like Tuper and the holder really got bowled over by Tupper Lake. Tupper Lake came with a rush right up the middle that time, and they just missed blocking the kick.
Well, the penalty will be marked off.
Penalty is on Tupper Lake.
On the restart kick. Tuper's okay. He took quite a shot in his midsection, but he comes off to the sideline, and he's set to play special teams.
That's not what's important. The important thing is the kick was good, and he's got 2 points on the stat sheet for this year. That's how football players think. Was the kick good?
That's right. We'll sacrifice anything to be in that scoring column and read your name in the Press Republican and the Daily Enterprise on Monday.
Tomorrow he'll sit there and look, and it'll say Trumer kick, and he won't even feel that shot to the midsection.
4:09 to play in the third quarter. High school football on Adelphia Cable Channel 2. Our score, 28-0. Saranac Lake leading Tupper Lake.
And this is tough for Tupper now because Tupper, because of that penalty, they're kicking from the 45-yard line of Tupper Lake. And so unless they get a good break or get a good run back, they're looking at being pinned probably around their 20 or 30-yard line, which means a long way to go for a score.
Jason Walker, the kickoff for the Redskins. Line drive, end over end, sends Fuller back, and Fuller wisely will just let it go beyond the end zone, and it's a touchback. Tupper Lake will start offensively from their own 20.
And I think if you're Saranac Lake, that's what you want.
That's fine.
You know, I mean, why risk a run back for a touchdown? Kick it out of the end zone, make them go 80 yards. If they can go 80 yards and beat you, you give the team credit. But Tupper Lake just hasn't had that ability so far. In the formations they've shown, they've been very, very conservative. They have done a little bit more passing. It'll be interesting to see now what the offensive game plan is since they're back a little farther in their own zone, whether they'll come out passing or whether they'll try to run it out.
1st and 10 for Tupper Lake from their own 20-yard line.
It looks like the clock hasn't moved in the last 10 minutes.
It is moving slow. Paul Pickering, wide receiver on the left-hand side. Fuller fills the slot position on the right. Back to throw Cody. Cody looking for Pickering. Oh, he threw into a host of Redskins. 1, 2, 3, 4 Saranac Lake Redskins were covering on that play. Paul Pickering.
Yeah, and Matt Burns had the inside position that time on Pickering and almost picked that off. He actually looked like he was the receiver that was looking for that ball because he had perfect position on it, and he made a stab at it but couldn't get it.
That's another example where Saranac Lake is showing no respect for the pass. If you send 4 defensive backs to cover 1 wide receiver, there is nobody. There is no lane physical or big enough for that pass to be completed from Cody to Pickering.
Exactly, exactly.
You're going to key on 1 wide receiver. Let's see where they line up Pickering now. Again, on the left-hand side, he is the wide out. Fuller, slot, near side. And motion against Tupper Lake.
Another dance step.
Yeah, that's Bill Peters, the offensive tackle on the left side, number 53.
Yeah, unfortunately. And I think there's a combination of a few things happening here. I think what's happening is I think that some of these Tupper Lake players who would go 2 ways, especially the ones on the line, are starting to wear down. I think they're just, you know, tired, and you can't blame them. Trying to play both ways, first game of the year, I think that's having an effect, and I think that plus a little frustration is starting to set in because they really haven't been able to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish here. And Saranac Lake, outside of that very first series that they ran today, have really shut them down pretty well.
You know, again, you can't say it enough. Tupper Lake came in with a roster of 24, and only 20 were eligible to play. Handoff up the middle. 3 yards, maybe 4. For the Tupper Lake running back. And that was number 32, by the way, Corey Lantiger was there.
Yeah, and I think, again, you're seeing the fact that they're being conservative in their own end. They don't want to commit a big mistake. They don't want the big turnovers. So that's what they're trying to avoid right now, and at the same time still trying to move the ball. The problem is you got 3rd down, you know, and a bunch to go, and you're down by 4 touchdowns.
They're going to credit him with 3. Corey Lantiger, 3 yards on the carry, 3rd down, and a long 12 for Tupper Lake. Rick Roberts, number 88, brings the play in from the sideline to the huddle. And again, Justin Cody takes his time in the huddle. Now it breaks up. Paul Pickering, wide receiver, left-hand side, and they're going to line up Roberts' tight end position on the right-hand side. They're going to send a man into motion. That is number 43. That is Hayes. Not a lot there for Jason Hamroy. Almost nothing. He picked up a yard, maybe 2 on the carry, 4th down, and Tupper Lake's going to have to punt it away.
Yeah, I think that at this point, you'd have to say Tupper Lake really is overmatched, and I think they know it. I think it's a situation that they don't want to make a lot of mistakes. I think, you know, if you're Coach Cavallaro, I think you have to start thinking now in terms of next week. And you have to start thinking about the you know, keeping your spirits, the players' spirits up, because they have another big game next week. You don't want to make a big mistake. You'd rather be in a position of trying to punt it out and playing defense at this point than putting yourself in a position of and a new punter. Paul Pickering is back there now.
Martin and Roberts, 8.
There's a beautiful snap. Pickering, a gorgeous kick. Since Charlie Martin back, he did make contact. He's got to pick it up. He does so on his own 32. To the far side of the field, to the 40, to the 45, to midfield, still on his feet, and Fuller knocks him down at the Tupper Lake 45-yard line.
Martin on the return.
Well, Martin has seen a lot of offense, but when he's there, he's made things happen for the Redskins.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the Tupper Lake players as Martin was getting up. There was 3 players down here from Tupper Lake who took shots at him, who got up very, very slowly. You could just tell they really physically are beat right now and are just sucking it up.
And they still got another quarter to go. As a matter of fact, they still have another 13 minutes and 50 seconds to play. Tupper Lake is going to call a timeout, and you know what, Roy? I think Coach Cavallaro saw the same thing. This I don't think is a strategy timeout. This is when, okay, guys, so let's rest right now. Let's regather. We've got another minute and 50 to play here in the third quarter, and we're still looking at a fourth quarter straight ahead.
Yeah, they are tired. There was 3 or 4 of them. Brandon Hayes, the sophomore, who's been a linebacker. I've seen him down on one knee twice now. And I think they just really are beat. It's the first game of the season, and conditioning, as you know, plays a big part of it. Saranac Lake, as deep as they are, they've been funneling people in and out constantly. Nobody's had to really exert a lot of effort. But first game of the year, and thankfully, to be honest with you, if they're having problems now, thankfully the sun did not come that was supposed to come today. Because if so, it would have been a lot warmer, and believe me, they'd be a lot more exhausted than they are right now.
If we can get a close-up of that Tupper Lake huddle, you're going to see a number of players with their helmets off, and a lot of them were down on their knee, on one knee, just trying to suck up some air and make it through the remainder of the third quarter and then look at the fourth quarter.
Well, this will give them a breather anyway. Right. 1:50 to go. They'll get another break at change at the quarter. So I think that, you know, this is a wise timeout by Coach Cavallaro.
Tupper Lake has to leave Ken Wilson Field healthy, too.
Yes. That's
you don't want to
important.
accept the loss. You know at this point that there's very little chance of you getting back into this game against Saranac Lake, but you want to leave on a healthy note. You want to have everybody healthy and ready to go. We have a new quarterback in, and that is Chris Lapierre. And our new running back is Kyle Leclerc. They were tangled up with a handoff, and it's a loss of 2 yards, 2nd down and 12.
Yeah, and the other thing is you don't want to embarrass yourself either, you know, and so, you know, you have to think of it from that perspective. If you're losing, all right, you're losing, you lost to a better team, that's fine, but you don't want to come out of this game feeling like you didn't accomplish anything and that you embarrassed yourself, because that's going to leave a mentality for the next game you've got to play. The season, you know, 8-9 games long, you know, you have to think about down the road as well.
And Tupper Lake has accomplished some. Lapierre is, oh my, Chris Lapierre got hit twice.
Yeah.
In the backfield. He was groggy after the first one.
Pete Lemire, Paul Pickering, Dave Bedore, which is 275 pounds, all ganged up on him, and a couple of others to boot. I think you're seeing that timeout was a wise timeout, because all of a sudden they seem like they caught their breath and they've regrouped. They've got a second wind, and now they're playing competitively again.
And for Chris Lapierre, he's got to be wondering, Jim Donis's jersey has absolutely no grass stain on it. He wasn't touched. I've run 2 plays, and I've got smoked both times.
And this is what they call getting an education.
That's right.
Everybody has to get an education. You're on the second string. You play with the second string. You're getting an education.
Saranac Lake hurrying to get the play off before the clock expires. 20 seconds. Lapierre back to throw. It's a completed pass. That is Matt Burns. Matt Burns up the sideline. He could break it to the 15, to the 10, 5. Touchdown! That is a 51-yard touchdown pass and catch From Chris Lapierre to Burns, welcome to the varsity level, Chris Lapierre.
Well,
yeah, you can get hit twice as hard as you did, but you got to bounce back, and he did.
Oh, he didn't feel it. He doesn't feel it. No, but, you know, I'll tell you something. That was a nice play that he made. Rolling out, hit his receiver on the dead run, missed tackle by a Tupper Lake defender, and it turns into 6. And now here comes John Trumer. He's seeing big things now. He thinks he's going to be in there as far as the points lead at the end of the week, and he may be.
He may be.
Things are going.
There's the snap, ball is down, kick is up. Trumer's 3 for 3.
Yeah. I think he's going to be pushing Jeremy Rich pretty soon.
Our score is 35-0. Just 8 seconds left in the third quarter. High school football on Adelphia Cable Channel 2. John Lundeen, Roy Christopherson. Our game today being brought to you by Home Energy Service on Depot Street in Saranac Lake.
And for those of you wondering when we're going to be back on Adelphia, a couple of weeks from now, we'll be here, and we'll get the chance to see the Beekmantown Eagles, who ran over everybody last year. Well, they lost an awful lot of players from last year's team. We're going to see what they're made of, and John and I will be here to bring you all the action from Ken Wilson Field in that one.
We keep talking about Saranac Lake not going to the state playoffs and not defending any title. They moved up to Class B last year, and we've been accustomed to seeing them at Class C. How about Peru? I mean, really, nobody here has any feelings about the way that Peru must have felt with the surprising season that Beekmantown had. That's Fuller trying to find a little bit of room. He has stopped at his own 22-yard line. Just 2 seconds left in the third quarter.
Yeah, I think you make a very valid point. Peru wound up losing one game throughout the entire season.
To Beekmantown,
and
they were out of the picture.
Oh, well.
Now Peru, hoping that Beekmantown is as weak as some people are predicting, will make a run at a Class B title. And they've got to feel better, too, because this is a strong Saranac Lake club that's not competing in Class B this year. They're back to competing at the Class C level.
And this year is interesting because in the last 2 years, Saranac Lake has had to face Peru the first game of the year.
Right.
This year, they're going to have the freight train moving, so to speak, by the time they meet Peru, and it'll be interesting to see if that has any effect.
That game will be played in the second half of the season in Peru,
at the Apple Bowl.
Offside against Tupper Lake.
Dan Stepp.
Saranac Lake has not been very successful going into Peru.
Saranac Lake has not been very successful in the last 5 years against Peru. For a while there, Saranac Lake had Peru's number, and it's gone completely the other way. A couple of years ago at the Apple Bowl, I remember I went to the game, and I remember seeing Peru launch a drive and just keep running the ball, and at that time they had a big running back. Can't remember what his name was, but wound up scoring the winning touchdown with about a minute left on a hot day. And last year, Saranac Lake and them played tooth and nail, lost by 2 points here.
Back to throw, Cody. Cody looking near side, incomplete, in and out of the arms of number 92, Corey Cody, his brother.
Yep, Cody to Cody should work better than that.
After 3 quarters of play, it is 35-0. Saranac Lake has this one well in hand as we move into the fourth quarter. High school football on Adelphia Cable Channel 2. John Lundeen and Roy Christopherson. How about rivalries now? You look at this game, Tupper Lake, Saranac Lake, that's the big rivalry, but I have the feeling, or I don't have the feeling, it's the same rivalry anymore. Saranac Lake season is based on beating Peru. That seems to be the rivalry right now, and I think vice versa too. Peru guns for Saranac Lake for a number of reasons. First off, their current coach used to be, the coach here at Saranac Lake. Now they've got Saranac Lake's number for the last 35 years, and they've got that feeling of, let's do it again, and let's try to spoil Saranac Lake's season.
Yeah, I think Peru is one you would consider a rival. The problem is that the way CVAC teams have gone, there hasn't been the level of consistency in a lot of the teams. Yeah. Beekmantown had a great year last year, but up to that, they didn't. Mm-hmm. Seton Catholic has had some good years, some not so good. So generally, rivalries are based on the scores of games and are based on the closeness of games. Peru and Saranac Lake match up real well in that regard. even though Peru is a B school, Saranac Lake is a C school. They both have very proud football traditions, and I think they make for natural rivals. Some of them, though, you would think might become rivals, but they just don't seem to, because that consistency just doesn't seem to be there.
Mariah used to be in that rival category, but they've fallen off the last couple of years.
Yes, yes. And they're a D school. You know, for Saranac Lake, the teams that really should be rivals for them are Seton Catholic, are Au-Sable Valley, and Au-Sable Valley is one that is an unknown quantity this year. They've lost Corey Lawyer, and so he was a big part of their team, and it's going to be interesting to see how they fare with Au-Sable Valley.
Ticonderoga fits in the mix as well.
Young team last year. It'll be interesting to see what they look like this year.
35-0 our score after 3 quarters of play, 12 minutes on the clock. It is 1st and 10 at Tupper Lake from their own 16-yard line. Cody back to throw. Looking right-hand side, looking for Paul Pickering, but overshoots him at the 28.
Well covered by Tom Finnegan, too. Finnegan was right on his hip the whole way, and it was just a square out. The interesting part about some of these passes right now, they're not really going deep down the field. They're maybe 10, 15-yard square outs is what they're using right now, and I don't know, it's just not enough.
3rd down, 15. From the Tupper Lake 16-yard line. A lot of second-team defensive players in the game for the Redskins.
Right. A lot of people getting to play. Everybody's playing today. Everybody played on the JVs. Everybody's playing in the varsity today.
And this is our worst nightmare, because all the charts and the graphs that we have, we can just kind of throw them out.
That's why you need these in numerical order.
You're right. Tupper Lake sends a man into motion, and they will give it off to Gaudette. Gaudette met hard in the backfield, and that's a loss.
Corey Strack, among other people, were there to say, hi, how are you?
And Corey Strack has a lot to say, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
He's a big guy, number 53.
Yep. He brings a load.
Well, 3 and out for Tupper Lake, and it's time to kick once again. So they'll send on the kicking unit.
And as you know, the kicking unit has been one of the more exciting parts of their game today, unfortunately. Not in the way you would want it to. Maybe what we should do is take a look and see who's going to be the long snapper, because that's been the one area that Adam Button has had a problem in.
Well, Paul
One more
Pickering will
time.
kick, and he's going to kick from a yard, maybe 2 deep in his own end zone. He's standing 2 deep in his own end zone, so Redskins should have good field position. Low snap, handles it well. Roy, that's a nice kick. That's Roberts. Roberts hands it to Charlie Martin. Charlie Martin runs into his own man. There's going to be flags down on the play. If this one stands, that's going to be a touchdown run of 44 yards, but I don't think it will. Bring it back.
Charlie Martin returns the punt.
I think we have a clip.
Flags on the play.
Referees will confer. There's the clip, and it does go against Saranac Lake. So, wipe off that 44-yard touchdown kick return from Charlie Martin. And let's see where they mark this, because it's going to be 15 yards from the point of the infraction.
Should be on the 40-yard line of Tupper Lake.
Nice call, Roy.
Hey, we aim to please.
That's it.
Saranac Lake takes over on the Tupper Lake 41-yard line.
You take 6 off the board, but Saranac Lake still has pretty good field position.
Well, you know, it's interesting because Chris Lapierre may be second string and hasn't seen much of the action today, but a lot of the guys that are in here have been shuffled in and out all game long, so I'm not sure this is going to help Tupper at all.
He's got a very similar build to Jim Donis.
Yes, he does.
Tall and lanky. That's Roberts up the middle. Roberts into the secondary and finally brought down inside the 30. Got the Tupper Lake 28-yard line. That is a gain of 12 yards.
1st and 10 from the Tupper Lake.
Roberts is absolutely explosive.
28-yard line.
He is in 4th gear by the time he hits that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he's very, very quick. As soon as he gets the ball, he hits the hole extremely quick and is through it. And he's been quite exciting to watch today.
He's got a pair of touchdowns to his credit, too. Roberts, tailback in the I formation, takes the handoff again into the secondary once again. Paul Pickering holding on. Paul Pickering trying to bring him down just inside the 10-yard line, and they're going to mark it down at the 9. Redskins, 1st down, goal to go from the Tupper Lake 9-yard line.
Well, I'll tell you, You know, you can't say enough about the Saranac Lake team. You know, they've shined in almost everything that they've done today. You know, for an opening game where you expect a lot of mistakes and penalties, Saranac Lake really has not done very badly at all. They've presented a very team-oriented approach to this game and have been very methodical about how they've gone about their business.
And kind of thinking of mistakes that the Redskins have made, they had the 2 turnovers and they've had 1 penalty. Tupper Lake hasn't been able to capitalize on either of those mistakes from Saranac Lake. They trailed 35-0, while Saranac Lake has taken advantage of every Tupper Lake mistake. That's Roberts up the middle again. That old counter gap play, Joe Gibbs made famous with the Washington Redskins, and he picks up a couple of more yards. He picks up 2. Second down and goal to go from the Lumberjack 7-yard line.
Yeah, I mean, you know, really, when you look at everything, you know, I think Johnny Raymond has to be pleased. I think he's accomplished what he wanted to do. He has been using pretty much basic stuff, you know, but a lot of things that he wanted to work has worked.
They hand it off again. Around the guard and the tackle on the near side. Is that Matt Burns, number 20 with the ball carry?
Jason Hubbard carries for the Redskins.
Number 40, rather. And it was Jason Hubbard.
Yeah, this looks like it's on about the 3-yard line, 2-3-yard line.
Yep, gain of 3, so the ball's resting on the Tupper Lake 3-yard line.
2.5-yard line.
Third down and goal to go for the Redskins.
And I think at this point, Saranac Lake's only interested in running the clock.
Tupper Lake's absolutely exhausted right now, right?
It's too bad.
You look at number 92, Corey Cody. Hand off again. Number 22, that is Ty LeClaire. He is met at the line of scrimmage. As soon as we say they look pretty tired, Peter Lemire busts through the line of scrimmage and makes a touchdown-saving tackle.
Yeah, well, the ones that seem to be most tired, really, believe it or not, are the sophomores. We were noticing earlier when we were talking about Brendan Hayes, he looked beat. Corey Cody, he's a sophomore, he's beat. You know, they're playing at a new level now, and they're being asked to go both ways, and that's a lot to ask.
In the physical demands at the varsity level, there's a lot more physical play, a lot more pounding than what you see at the JV level. Jason Hubbard is stopped short.
Corey Lanthier, a beautiful play, open field tackle, and stopped him for basically no gain. And he was isolated on a one-on-one. If he doesn't make the play, it's another score.
Well, the good news is Tupper Lake stopped Saranac Lake from scoring. Bad news is they are pinned deep in their own defensive end at about the 1.5-yard line. First down and goal to go for Tupper Lake from, well, about 2 feet away from their own goal line.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see a lot of their, I think maybe you'll see some first-string people, but maybe not.
Well, I would think you've got to see some first-string people for Tupper Lake. The last thing you want to do is give up a safety.
Yep. That's what I was thinking. You'd want to see some first-string people to at least get it out of there, and then you certainly can fill with some of your second string.
Make some room for yourself.
Yep, yep.
You can be a little bit more creative on your own 10-yard line than what you can on your own 2-foot line. That's Cody, the quarterback, a keeper. Nice effort.
Yeah, he's going to get 5 or 6
Yeah, he's
out
going
of
to pick up at least that.
Looks like he's up around the 7-yard line, which is going to give him a little room anyway.
That's a nice, safe play for Cody. All he's got to do is really make sure that he follows his center and nobody gets a hand in there to take the football away.
Exactly, exactly.
Head up the tackle.
Now here comes some second-teamers for Tupper Lake.
Second and 6.
Let's see who comes on the field. Number 20, Peter Lemire. Paul Pickering back on the field as well. Fuller's still there, the wingback.
Yep. But again, remember, they don't have the substitution capabilities of a Saranac Lake either.
Double tight end set. And they hand it off to Lemire. Lemire is stopped at the 14-yard line. And that's enough for a first down, right?
Yep. And you know, right now, if you're Tupper Lake, there's good things you can take out of this game. All you need to do is concentrate on your offense, forget about the scoreboard, just go and just take each play as it comes and try to make positive yardage. They did a good job there. That's something that the coaching staff can take out of this game and talk to the players about. You know, and you need some of those bright spots because, you know, you can't you don't want the players dwelling on the negative, especially with Beekmantown coming up next week. You don't want them in a situation where they're concentrating solely on the score. You know, the score is not necessarily indicative of how they played. Saranac Lake is just a better team today, and I think that's how you have to look at it.
It's going to be interesting how with the Tupper Lake coaching staff will break down the tape. They fake one hand off, and they run it right-hand side. That's number 44 for Tupper Lake. Jason Ham. Jason Ham picks up 9 yards. Now that's a pretty little play. You break that play apart in your video room, and you should feel good about it.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like we have an injured player hobbling off the field. I think that's Mike Russell for Tupper Lake getting to the sideline.
Number 51?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. And again, I mean, you want to leave Ken Wilson Field as healthy as he can be.
Right. Well,
you're gonna have your little nicks and bruises. That comes with the territory.
Well, they know where they're thin. They're thin on the line, and he's one of their linemen. They can't afford to lose him.
So Lemire is the deep back, and they'll run it to Lemire up the middle, and he picks up enough for a first down. Picks up 2, if you're generous, maybe 3 yards. Yeah. 5:28 to play in this one.
Yeah, and this does 2 things. Number one, at this point, you're in your basic offense, the offense that you'll be using in the future games. You're doing something. You're running time off the clock. You're keeping the ball out of Saranac Lake's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this is something that they can take away from this game. I think this team is a building team. I think it's going to be better. They're going to get better throughout the season. But more importantly, you know, this year is going to be a learning year, and next year is going to be a better year.
Lemire once again the deep back for Tupper Lake. Wing back formation, Fuller into motion. That's Fuller. They pitch it to Fuller. Fuller runs into his own man in the backfield. He sheds 1 tackle, but can't shed the tackle of 13, Jeremy Rich. And Jeremy Rich came into this game as the free safety. Jeremy Rich hasn't been any deeper than 7 yards back in the secondary. He has been right up at the line of scrimmage, showing no respect for the pass.
And really, you know, that's the way he should be. He has to challenge them and say, okay, here I am. You know, if you want me to believe that you can pass this ball and pass it effectively, then I'll drop back. But until you show me that, I'm going to be in your face all day long. And that's what he's done.
Loss of a yard. 2nd down and 11. Tupper Lake from their own 25-yard line. In between the 25 and the 26. Cody back to pass. Looking over the middle. And not intercepted, but it was broken up. That was dangerously close to defensive pass interference. The intended receiver was number 85. And that was John Collier.
Yeah. I think, you know, there was some people screaming for pass interference call, but actually I thought that it was a good play. They were both going for the ball. And I think the officials saw it the same way.
3rd down and 11 from the Tupper Lake 25, 26-yard line. Right in between. Where did they line up Fuller? Wing back. Far side. That's number 20, Lemire, the deep back. Little misdirection. Number 43 for Tupper Lake. That's Brendan Hayes. Hayes stopped at the 35-yard line. They're going to move it to the 34-yard line. Well short of a first down, but it's a 4th down. Gain of 6, gain of 7. 4th down and 3 to go.
Yeah, and, you know, they got this out from the shadow of their own goal line. And, you know, they gained 30 yards.
Yep.
You know, so that's something positive that they can bring back, you know, if nothing else. And, you know, the key here is that they want to minimize their damages and hopefully get a good snap and a good kickoff. And then I think Saranac Lake will pretty much be content to run the clock out.
You may be wrong on the kickoff here, though. Looks
okay.
like Tupper Lake will go for it on 4th down and 3. Okay, now you're right. Now they've got to kick for the illegal procedure.
Yeah, fooled me, all right. Brian Tynan, the guilty party on that procedure call. That's got to be about 6 or 7 procedure calls on Tupper.
It really does.
Yeah, and that's the sign of an inexperienced team. You know, you see the experience on one side, the inexperience on the other, and that's what you're going to see the first game of the year. You're going to see a problem with the center exchange sometimes, or you're going to see procedure problems, and we've seen several of them all day today.
I'm wondering, though, if Brian Tynan would have continued his motion and not stopped and then backed up again, I mean, obviously it would have readjusted the play, but would they have been, you know, called for the illegal procedure? Nice kick, Paul Pickering. Redskins receiver can't handle it, fumbled on the play. That's Matt Dara, 26. He gathers it up, flag down on the play, 2 flags down on the play. Dara running for dear life, and Pickering, the kicker, is able to tackle him.
Yeah, there's a clip that they're going to call on Mark Van Deen on the far sideline. That was the first flag that came down, so Saranac Lake's going to get a penalty out of this.
For the Redskins, this is their 3rd clipping penalty. And the costly one brought back a 44-yard touchdown run of Charlie Martin.
Well, I think if Saranac Lake has anything that they need to work on in this, coming out of this game, is I think they want to work a little bit more on their kickoff returns and punt returns. Last year, Saranac Lake was awesome in that area. They did a real good job setting up. They do real good job setting up that picket fence going down either sideline. Today, it hasn't really looked sharp at all. You know, there's been a couple of shining moments for Charlie Martin, but I don't know that it was because of the blocking that Charlie got as much as it was Charlie's speed.
Pure speed. Well, on the Redskin 11-yard line, 1st down and 10, 15 yards lost at the point of the infraction. And if it comes down to special teams against Peru, Saranac Lake wants to make sure they've got all the kinks worked out.
That's right, because special teams, especially in big games, it's not unusual to see special teams play a major role in those, in terms of determining field position, but also in terms of getting a touchdown.
2:26 to play in this one, still 35-0. Redskins pitching a shutout against Tupper Lake. We've had scoring in the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd quarter. Still looking for our first score in the 4th. Chris Lapierre is the quarterback for the Redskins, spelling Jim Donis a little bit. That is Jason Hubbard at number 40 with the carry.
Jason Hubbard on the carry.
Hubbard loses 1.5, 3rd down and along 13.
Yeah, and this is what we call the nothing fancy. Right now they're running real basic tackle-to-tackle runs. I just heard Johnny Raymond said it's the punt team ready. So, you know, right now Saranac Lake's not looking at you know, trying to exploit Tupper. And right now, looking at the jerseys at Tupper Lake, there's a lot of clean jerseys in there, so a lot of new players in there to spell some of those people who worked hard all day long.
Saranac Lake got what they wanted. That's Hubbard once again, the eye back in the I formation. Yeah, they got what they wanted. They got the first win of the season, a good home win for them. Now, you know, you give your second, your 3rd teamer some time. Kicking team comes on for the Redskins, the return team for Tupper Lake, and the clock continues to roll. We're down to 1 minute, 35-0 our score. And for the Redskins, now they gear up for a Friday night affair at Bailey Avenue Field against Plattsburgh High School. That game, by the way, will be heard on WNBZ 1240.
And we'll be back with you in 2 weeks from today when Beekman Town's Eagles come to town to visit the Saranac Lake Redskins.
Class B titleist Burns the kick. Nice kick. High Pickering underneath at the Redskin 40-yard line. And Pickering, not a lot of room. Josh Schwed, number 83, makes the tackle for the Redskins.
And you know, you look back to last year's game that Saranac Lake had against Beekman Town. You might recall in the 2nd half, Saranac Lake had a lead in that game. And I think it was a lead of a couple of touchdowns. But one thing about Beekman Town last year is they were always able to come back on their opponents. A lot of 4th quarter rallies for touchdowns, and they really rode that high all the way through, and then got surprised by Beekman Town, or by Governor rather, in the North Country Super Bowl game. But all in all, when you look at Beekman Town last year, they were able to put it all together with some superior speed. A lot of talent on that team, but they lost a lot of that talent.
Redskins made some critical mistakes in that ball game too.
Right.
In fact, I remember one touchdown to Ryan Rattel, a pass being called back because of a penalty. Cody, still the quarterback. Oh, a little bit of trickery here. That is Ham. Ham looking downfield. Is it caught by Pickering? No, he couldn't handle it. Redskin defender got a hand on it, number 27. That was Brandon Macy. And then Pickering almost made a sensational catch.
Yeah. It was well done, and they tried that play in the 1st half as well, kind of a halfback option pass. That tells me a couple of things when you try that twice in one game, that maybe your quarterback doesn't have the strong arm to go deep. all of his passes have been of the maybe 10 or 15 yard variety that we've seen in this game, and I think that's what they feel comfortable with as far as a range on Cody. But a couple of times they've had Ham air it out and air it down the field, but you know, it's like anything else. You use the option pass almost as a surprise play, and once you've done it once, the thrill is gone.
Yeah, it's really not intended to be one of the feature play in your playbook.
Right. Well, here's just an opportunity for them to just try to get on the scoreboard.
That's Birding, the wide receiver on the near side. They send Gaudette into motion. Back to throw, Cody. That's Gaudette. Oh my goodness! Does Gaudette get hit? And the referees say that the reception was made. It's a fumble. The Redskins recover. That is 41 Kyle Sorensen. Gaudette was absolutely drilled. There was no way he was going to hang on to that football. Now the officials will confer to see if it's a completed pass and a fumble. If it is, the Redskins maintain possession. If it's not, we'll do it all over again, and we'll look at a 3rd down and 10 play. First and 10 Redskins. I don't know if Gaudette held on to that football long enough to say that was a completed pass.
That's one of those judgment calls, and that's why they get to wear those funny suits and make those calls. But I'll say this.
That's a bang-bang play to make a call.
The one thing about having a quarterback that doesn't have great range is that you really expose your receivers on those short routes, and that's what happened there.
You know, on a play like that, it's an isolation play. It's one-on-one, and if that defender has the beat on you, and you're still waiting for that football to arrive because it doesn't have the zip that it should, you're left out there hanging. And Lapierre touches the knee down, and that's the way this one will close out. The Redskins winning by a score of 35-0 over Tupper Lake. And now they prepare for PHS on Friday, and Tupper Lake prepares for their home opener against Beacontown on Saturday.
Yeah, I think if I was Johnny Raymond, I could not have set this up any better than it was set up for him. I think that he had some basic things that he wanted to work on. I think he has. I think he has to be very pleased with the effort that he received from his team today. He got outstanding efforts from players like Ryan Roberts, from Jeremy Rich on the defensive side of the ball. You know, Jim Donis, some excellent passing here today. And really, when you look at everything, he got a real good effort, a team effort from everybody. And I think if I'm a coach from the Plattsburgh High team and I'm going back to Plattsburgh today, I got to be shaking my head saying, I don't know what we're going to see next week. It could be any number of things. So, you know, from his perspective, I think that if you asked him if this was the effort that he was looking for, I think he'd overwhelmingly say yes.
Well, there's the Mayor's Trophy presented to the winner of this rivalry in Saranac Lake. We'll keep it in the trophy case for another season, for another year.
And I think if you look at the Tupper Lake Lumberjack team, I think that you're looking at a team that's going to be good, and I think they should keep their heads up. I don't think they made a lot of mistakes today. Some of the mistakes that they did make did hurt them, but I think that this is a team that's going to grow, it's going to gel. I think they've got some potential, especially for later in the year once they get more familiar with one another. But I think at this point, the play calling indicated to me a very conservative type of play calling, and I think that this is a team whose confidence will build as the year goes on.
Well, let's run down the scoring very quickly for you. In the first quarter at the 11:59 mark, Donis to Finnegan, 36-yard touchdown pass, 6-0. Jeremy Rich, the point after try, 7-zip. With 2:24 to go in the second quarter, Roberts, a 9-yard run, made it 13-0. Rich followed up with a point after try, 14-0 at the half. In the third quarter, 7:59 to play. Rip Foster, a 3-yard touchdown run, a dive up the middle in a cloud of dust, 20-0. And Trumer hit his first point after try. John Trumer, his first of 3 in the second half. 4:09 to play in the third quarter. Roberts, his second touchdown run. This one measured 11 yards, 27-0. Trumer followed up with a point after try, 28-0. And with 8 seconds left in the third quarter, Lapierre to Burns, a 51-yard touchdown run, pass and catch. And the 2 plays before that, Lapierre was absolutely hammered in the backfield. He got that one away. Burns on the receiving end. 51 yards later, it's 34-0 Saranac Lake. Trumer follows up with a point after try. No scoring in the fourth quarter, and that's the way this one ends. 35-0 Saranac Lake tops the Tupper Lake Lumberjacks.
Noticing on my right here that the Tupper Lake Lumberjack team has been gathered and the coaches are talking to them. and trying to tell them what kind of an effort that they got today and the appreciation for it. If I'm Coach Cavallaro, I'm probably a little concerned about my line, because my line is very thin. It's a thin area. First game of the year, some conditioning factors played into this whole thing. But the truth of the matter is that this is just a young team that's only going to get better. And that's something that hopefully he and his coaching staff is going to be able to instill into them.
Well, they're going to have to get better fast, because they've got a tough schedule to start this one in the first 4 of the 5 weeks. They've got Beekmantown next week. They have Seton Catholic. And it's a tough way to start Saranac Lake today. And that's what you get for defending your Class D title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
the schedule makers aren't going to make it
weary.
easier for
you. No, and every year is a new adventure, and every year you never know what you're going to encounter, really.
Well, if you go back to last season, the last 2 games, you had Saranac Lake, in which you hosted them, and then, of course, you had to face Cambridge in the regional contest, the Section 2 opponent. So it's been a tough way to go for the Tupper Lake Lumberjacks the last 2 weeks and now the start of this season. But this is a young club, and I think a lot of psychology has got to go into this season. You've got to take away, as you've said, something good from each game. All right, you lost 35-0. Saranac Lake was the better club. However, we did do some things well. We did do some things right. Let's take a look at that on the tape together and build as we work our way through the season.
Yeah, and I think that's the approach you have to take in a situation like that. They will get better, and next year, I think that a lot of the circumstances that they're going to go through with these first few games are going to help them. That's going to be stuff that they can build from, and they're only going to get better. So, you know, that's how they have to look at it. And, you know, they just really faced a team who really was superior today. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Saranac Lake had more experience. Saranac Lake had more depth at all of the skill positions. And Saranac Lake, if Saranac Lake plays their game, Saranac Lake is going to be tough to beat this year for anybody. And so, you know, Tupper Lake just has to basically say, hey, we take our hats off to you. You're the better team this year. Maybe we'll get you next year.
One thing I worry, though, about Saranac Lake is that they may start to look ahead. And Peru is the opponent that they want to beat. They've struggled. If they don't do that, they're going to put together a very successful regular season and then on into the state playoffs.
Well, I'll say this much. One of the things about having a veteran coaching staff is your veteran coaching staff doesn't let you look ahead very often. They try to keep you focused. I think that, you know, they'll have a road game. I think their first game being a night game will bring some new challenges for them and will probably keep them focused. And then Beekmantown, I think, is a payback game for them. Yes. I think, you know, that was one of the games when they talked, when Johnny Raymond was talking, he said that we lost a couple of games last year that we felt we should have won. I believe he feels he should have won that game in Beekmantown last year. And I think that that's going to be a payback game for them. I think that they'll be setting their sights on the Eagles for a couple of weeks from now, and we'll have that game for you on Adelphia.
This Redskins team is going to have to prepare quickly. A short week as they take on Plattsburgh, a Friday night game, so they've got Monday through Thursday to prepare. And if you're going to look ahead, you don't have a lot of time to do so. John Raymond will be back to the drawing board in the video room, getting the team set early Monday, and then he'll have them by Monday afternoon on the field and getting set for the Plattsburgh Hornets. That game will be heard on WNBZ. I want to thank the Saranac Lake Video Club for our coverage and our director, Rick Napton. And I also want to thank Home Energy Services on Depot Street in Saranac Lake. They were our sponsor of high school football on Adelphia Cable for the Saturday. Final score once again, 35-0, Saranac Lake over Tupper Lake, and they keep the Mayor's Trophy for another season. For Roy Christopherson, I'm John Lundeen. Be safe, be happy, and we will see you next Saturday here against Beekmantown on Adelphia Cable, Channel 2.
Home Energy Services for all of your home heating needs.
We are broadcasting
Your money owed of $13 to Glenn Foley stays in the lineup. He's 7 for 10, 6 for 10 that is, and hands the ball off to Robert Farmer. Interesting, Joe. Question. If Baltimore doesn't score in the last series. It's now 36 to 14. Is Foley out, and is Chuck Clements in?
You know, my first reaction would have been, well, you take Foley out and put Clements in. But on the other hand, Foley has thrown 10 passes tonight. You'd like to see him have a little more work than that. And I think the main reason he's out there right now is to let Foley get into the flow even more, get some more work, because he will be your guy to come in during the regular season if